Chapter 2034. Among the 5 experts, even for someone as strong as Little Rascal, he no longer had the qualifications to participate in this final battle. Jun Mengchen only gained the ability to participate after his transformation. But even so, no one had any hope for this battle. The people of the supreme ancient immortal realms were paying attention to this battle. They stared at the heavenly deity who stood tall in the starry space and truly understood the meaning of the word heavenly deity. This was a true deity, able to pluck the stars with a stretch of his hand. The God King of the Western Paradise saw Qin Wentian and the other 4 experts standing before him. His eyes that were as deep as the starry space flashed with a faint smile. After this battle, he would be able to transcend. He would soon be able to see the unknown scenery that was so close to him, within his reach. Everything can come to an end now. The God King of the Western Paradise spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, boundless astral light cascaded down on Qin Wentian and the other 4 experts. At the next moment, numerous gigantic figures appeared in their surroundings. There were Buddhas and evil devils. These gigantic figures contained terrifying Tao intents. It was unknown how many times stronger compared to the evil devils summoned by Yu Changkong earlier. Fate, strip away. The God King of the Western Paradise coldly spoke. Qin Wentian and the others felt that their souls were no longer under their control. Their souls were trembling as the Tao of fate descended. Their fates felt like they were about to be stripped away from their bodies and controlled by the God King of the Western Paradise. In the air, another fate-devouring head appeared. It opened its mouth and drew in a deep breath, causing the fate shadow on their bodies to fly towards its bloody mouth. Kill! Qin Wentian and the others resisted the power of their fates being stripped away. Spacetime changed as they vanished from their original location and appeared before the gigantic figure. This spacetime energy was unleashed by Qin Wentian. This was also the battle strategy they had discussed before. They wanted to directly kill the God King of the Western Paradise. If not, they wouldn't have any chance at all. The God King of the Western Paradise's body was too huge. This meant that they could attack him from any part of his body. The 5 experts appeared at different parts of the God King of the Western Paradise's body. Boundless astral light cascaded down. Qin Yuanfeng's 6 world fists blasted out. 6 azure dragons lacerated everything, attacking the gigantic figure. The Grim Reaper blasted out millions of death divine seals, wanting to take his life. Jun Mengchen's punch contained the power of worlds exploding unceasingly. Princess Kitamura's attack transformed into an astral river, transforming into an astral river divine formation. Qin Wentian's punch contained the might of the heavenly Tao. Millions of spacetime swords erupted forth, terrifying Tao of sealing. All attacks landed on the God King of the body. Such power, even God Kings would most probably be destroyed. However, the giant standing in the astral river was no ordinary God King. A terrifying devil Tao intent gushed forth from him. In an instant, the incomparably fearsome attacks seemed to be grafted onto the constellations in the sky, blasting towards the shadow of fate. After that, more and more shadows of fate were destroyed. In the supreme ancient immortal realms, there were countless people who died under this attack. It was impossible to imagine how many people died because of this. The Grand Devil Lords grafted Devil Tao in addition to the Buddha Sovereign's Fate Tao. The Grim Reaper's expression was extremely unsightly to behold. How could they still fight? They attacked the God King of the Western Paradise, but they ended up causing a great slaughter instead. Although this wasn't what they wanted to do, they only wanted to kill this devil before their eyes. However, this devil was actually using the lives of countless people to transfer his attacks, using the lives of countless people to make up for it. This was simply a calamity. Invincible. A voice rang out in the minds of everyone. Hua Taishu had already sacrificed himself for his Tao. Who else could break the God King of the Western Paradise? In addition, even if Hua Taishu didn't die, it would be extremely difficult to break the God King of the Western Paradise now. This was already different from before. He was much stronger now, and he was using the constellations in the sky to seize the lives of countless people. Freeze! A cold voice rang out. At this moment, everything in the astral river seemed to freeze. The 5 experts surrounded the God King of the Western Paradise and were extremely close to each other. At such a close distance, the God King of the Western Paradise could unleash his Tao art to the extreme. At this moment, the entire spacetime seemed to be controlled and stopped. However, Qin Wentian was still moving. He was also proficient in the Tao of spacetime. He opened up his own Tao of spacetime and could resist the God King of the Western Paradise's control over spacetime. Break! His spacetime Tao also enveloped the other 4 experts, helping them to break free from the God King of the Western Paradise's control. But at the same time, black tentacles appeared on the God King of the Western Paradise, blotting out the sky and burying the boundless starry space. Also, in this buried starry space, there was a dark liquid flowing about, causing Qin Wentian and the others to feel a terrifying corrosive and destructive energy. This dark space transformed into the river of death of the netherworld, engulfing everything, wanting to bury them within. We have to rush out. Jun Mengchen spoke. Follow me. Incomparably dazzling world light radiated from him as he soared up into the sky. The others followed behind him and were enveloped by a world. The river of death could even corrode worlds. The world Tao around Jun Mengchen's body frenziedly exploded, opening up a path that allowed them to rush out of this darkness. However, what awaited them was a gigantic palm imprint of darkness that could destroy everything. Boom! As this strike landed, the world collapsed. Jun Mengchen and the other 4 experts were all flung through the air, their bodies flying past numerous constellations. This force was too powerful. Jun Mengchen was the first to bear the brunt of it. He groaned in misery as cracks appeared on his world-divine body that was formed from glass light. The Buddhas and devils all rushed towards them. Qin Wentian and the others felt despair when they saw this scene. At this moment, Qin Wentian closed his eyes. Within the astral gate, the starry space radiated a dazzling light. It was like it could sense the 9 heavenly layers. Boundless astral light cascaded downwards as countless seal attribute astral energy radiated a terrifying sealing light. This sealing light didn't shoot towards the Buddhas and devils. Instead, it shot towards the constellations in the surroundings, using the astral light to project onto the other constellations, sealing the constellations. When the sealing light projected onto another constellation, that constellation seemed to be sealed. Its energy could no longer be borrowed by the God King of the Western Paradise. The countless shadows on it also vanished. Clearly, the connection between it and the fates of many experts had been broken. It's useful. Princess Kitamura and the others saw this scene, but they were still too weak. It wasn't that Qin Wentian was weak. He was already strong enough. Borrowing the power of constellations to seal constellations, how terrifying was this power? But when compared to the God King of the Western Paradise directly borrowing the power of the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers, it was still too weak. There was no way for him to completely seal them. Protect senior brother Qin. Jun Mengchen spoke. He also formed a connection with the countless constellations. Boundless astral light cascaded onto him. His body was like a world of its own. He rushed towards a direction and punched out, opening up an ancient pathway, killing the Buddhas and devils. Qin Yuanfeng and the other 2 also stood in different locations in the air space above Qin Wentian, fighting against the evil devils. These evil devils were too strong, many times stronger compared to the ones summoned by Yu Changkong. Princess Kitamura was the first to find it hard to endure. After all, her soul was already heavily injured. A powerful Buddhist palm imprint directly blasted into her body, causing her to be like duckweed in the wind as she coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. Upon seeing this scene, the Grim Reaper's silhouette flashed as he sped over. Princess Kitamura wasn't merely his successor, she was also his spiritual sustenance. Right now, the imperishable Heaven Lord had reappeared in the world through her body. Courting death. The God King of the Western Paradise stared coldly at this scene, feeling a little disdain in his heart. Qin Wentian actually wanted to seal the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. This caused him to be somewhat surprised. However, it was clear that Qin Wentian didn't have that ability. I will deal with you first. The God King of the Western Paradise glanced at the Grim Reaper. His eyes were extremely terrifying, directly causing the Grim Reaper's body to freeze there. At the same time, the Grim Reaper's soul was being plundered. The Buddhas and devils behind him already arrived. A long spear of darkness directly pierced through the Grim Reaper's body. The terrifying corrosive energy devoured his life force, his fate was being stripped away bit by bit. He had no way to resist the tyrannical Tao energy. Teacher. Princess Kitamura called out loudly. But right now, she couldn't even protect herself. There was basically no way for her to save the Grim Reaper. Qin Wentian gave up on continuing to seal the constellations. Time flowed and he directly appeared beside the Grim Reaper. Numerous terrifying dimensional black holes appeared around him. Those Buddhas and devils rushed over, destroying the dimensional black holes. Qin Wentian turned his head and roared in anger. His voice shook the sky, causing the bodies of those Buddhas and devils to shatter. This roar seemed to contain a Tao art that could be broken. He brought the Grim Reaper with him as he teleported. The God King of the Western Paradise coldly snorted and stretched out a hand. A moment later, the shadow of fate appeared around the Grim Reaper. It was like the Grim Reaper wasn't under his control. This caused Qin Wentian to halt as he stared fixedly at this scene. It's useless. I didn't expect that even this wouldn't be able to stop him. The Grim Reaper stared at Qin Wentian. Little fellow, you have already grown to a point where you are even stronger than me. The hope of Azure Mystic is also on you. No matter what, you must not lose this battle. Qin Wentian's heart turned cold. He called out, Teacher. A smile appeared in the Grim Reaper's eyes, feeling gratified. However, his body trembled even more violently. He who was heavily injured had no way to resist the corrosion of his opponent's Tao art. Also, treat Yu Huang well. The Grim Reaper smiled. At this moment, Princess Kitamura's body also arrived here. The imperishable Heaven Lord's shadow floated to the side of the Grim Reaper. Tears could be seen in her eyes. Even someone as powerful as the imperishable Heaven Lord would cry. Don't cry. If you cry, you won't be beautiful anymore. The crazy old man revealed a smile. This was the most radiant smile he had ever shown in his life. We will definitely win this battle. The imperishable Heaven Lord turned her head and stared at Princess Kitamura. Yu Huang, are you willing to sacrifice yourself and offer your strength to Wentian? Princess Kitamura nodded without any hesitation. She inclined her head and stared at Qin Wentian, her beautiful eyes filled with gentleness. There was basically no need to think about this. She was naturally willing. She didn't want to be like the imperishable Heaven Lord, watching the man she loved die in front of her. This scene was too tragic. She would rather die herself. Right. The imperishable Heaven Lord nodded. She stared at the Grim Reaper. Back then, we were inferior to the two of them, but we could still work together to defeat the God King of the Western Paradise. In that case, they would be able to do it today as well. The Grim Reaper nodded heavily. Although they understood in their hearts that the hope was extremely minuscule. If not, they wouldn't have waited until now. However, they were still willing to believe. Chapter 2035. The imperishable Heaven Lord stared at the Grim Reaper. Her body trembled more and more violently. At this moment, a cold voice rang out, "Are you still dreaming?" As the sound of his voice faded, a supreme might bore down on him. The fate and soul of the Grim Reaper were stripped away as they flew towards the gigantic body of the God King of the Western Paradise. The God King of the Western Paradise opened his mouth and sucked the beam of light into his stomach. After that, he closed his starry eyes, as though he was enjoying this very much. The imperishable Heaven Lord didn't look over there. Her beautiful eyes turned to Yu Huang. I told you before about the true meaning of the death scripture. Do you still remember it? Princess Kitamura nodded with tears in her eyes. The death scripture says that only death can one transform into the Tao. The death scripture is about sacrifice. Its true meaning isn't to give life to the dead or to control the bodies of others. It's about sacrificing oneself. Only death can one transform into the Tao. Hence, it's named the death scripture. It complements the undying scripture. Only those who cultivate the undying scripture would be able to endure the Tao formed from death. Once, your teacher and I joined forces. But now, you have to be sacrificed. The imperishable Heaven Lord spoke softly, there was no joy or sorrow in her voice. This war concerned their lives, the lives of all lives in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Sacrifices were unavoidable. If Yu Huang sacrificed herself, she would vanish as well. She would completely vanish, never to exist again. Even if Yu Huang transformed into the Tao, this kind of sacrifice might not be able to defeat the God King of the Western Paradise. However, if they didn't choose to sacrifice themselves, there would be no suspense in this war. They would be killed one by one, completely wiped out. No. Qin Wentian's expression froze when he heard the conversation between the imperishable Heaven Lord and Princess Kitamura. He glanced at Princess Kitamura and shook his head, I definitely won't accept this. Princess Kitamura's beautiful eyes flickered with tears. At this moment, when she looked at Qin Wentian, a smile could be seen in her eyes. It was like she had let go of her burdens and was already prepared to welcome death. Death wasn't terrifying. What was truly terrifying was having no hope. As long as Qin Wentian could win, what did her death count for? Wentian, someone has to be sacrificed. If we can obtain victory, what does my sacrifice count for? Don't forget, in this place, there are not only the two of us. Princess Kitamura smiled brightly. At this moment, her tone was not cold at all, only gentle. Qin Wentian clenched his fists tightly. Logically speaking, he naturally understood that Yu Huang's words were right. If not, the imperishable Heaven Lord wouldn't have asked her to do this. However, he had no way to accept Yu Huang sacrificing herself. Look at them. Princess Kitamura stared in the direction of Mo Qingcheng and Qing'er. Qin Wentian also stared in that direction. Over there were many friends and family. In the air, his father and Jun Mengchen were still fighting. If this continues, everyone will die. Is this the ending you want to see? Princess Kitamura was still smiling as she stared at Qin Wentian. At this moment, countless souls flowed into Qin Wentian's sea of consciousness. Qin Wentian's heart was in agony as he struggled to resist that surge of power. Wentian, don't hesitate anymore. If you continue to hesitate, both of us won't be able to survive. I know you don't care about your own death and would rather die together with me than to let me sacrifice myself. But this no longer concerns the lives of the two of us. Princess Kitamura's voice rang out in Qin Wentian's sea of consciousness. Countless souls flowed unceasingly into his sea of consciousness. Qin Wentian closed his eyes in agony. Just like what Princess Kitamura said, if there was only him, he would rather die together with Princess Kitamura than to let Yu Huang sacrifice herself in exchange for his life. However, not only the two of them were here, there was also his father, Mengchen, Qingcheng, Qing'er, his mother and the others. Hence, even if there was a trace of hope, he had to fight for it. In addition, even if I sacrifice myself, we might not be able to win. Maybe, the ending would still be the same. Yu Huang slowly spoke. Qin Wentian finally released everything, allowing Princess Kitamura's souls to flow into his own. After that, boundless astral light cascaded down, landing on the two of them. Uncle Qin, protect senior brother Qin. Jun Mengchen roared, using world energy to envelop this space, blocking the attacks from the starry space. Qin Yuanfeng also rushed over here. All of this was extremely clear in Qin Wentian's mind. Time. When Qin Wentian saw this scene, he activated the Tao of Time. In an instant, the flow of time around him changed. At this place, the flow of time was over 1,000 times faster. Princess Kitamura sat before him. At this moment, the smile on her face was so beautiful. It was like this was the happiest moment in her life. From now onwards, she would fuse as one with Qin Wentian, able to sense his life aura forever. From now on, she would become a part of him. Qin Wentian could sense that Princess Kitamura's soul energy enveloped the boundless starry space. At this moment, her soul energy entered his sea of consciousness, causing the starry space to be imprinted in his vision. Tao transformation. Princess Kitamura softly spoke. Her and the imperishable Heaven Lord's silhouettes started burning. Pure and flawless sacred flames landed on them as the imperishable Heaven Lord soon vanished. As for Princess Kitamura, her body also grew more and more illusory, like she wanted to merge into the boundless starry space. At this moment, Qin Wentian felt that he could truly sense the countless constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. Also, the range of his senses was still expanding. This was the assistance of Princess Kitamura's soul energy, radiating out towards the 9 heavenly layers, frenziedly expanding. As for Princess Kitamura, her soul energy was also nearing the limit. This caused Qin Wentian to have an illusion that Princess Kitamura was extending her soul energy to the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers, causing it to expand unceasingly. Finally, a thunderous sound rang out from his soul. Qin Wentian's soul frenziedly trembled as though it was about to explode. A low-sounding roar rang out from his mouth. Countless souls, each wisp of his soul seemed to be exploding, being born and destroyed and reborn. No one knew what kind of pain Qin Wentian was enduring at this moment. It was like a boundless Tao was slicing away at his soul bit by bit, allowing it to regrow before it continued to be sliced away. Most probably, the cruelest torture in the world wouldn't be able to compare to this. He finally understood why only those who cultivated the undying scripture would be able to endure this. The undying scripture seemed to be born to endure the Tao transformation energy of the death scripture. It was like they were originally one and now, they were fusing together. Yu Huang. Qin Wentian cried out in agony. He saw Yu Huang's silhouette vanishing completely. In such a short period of time, he felt like he had experienced a few centuries. However, after experiencing the explosion of his soul, being born and destroyed, dying and reborn again, at this moment, he discovered that he could truly sense the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. This was different from before. In the past, he could sense each and every constellation in the 9 heavenly layers. But at this moment, he could sense them all at the same time. The constellations in his sea of consciousness seemed to be imprinted into his sea of consciousness. The astral gate in his sea of consciousness was like the incarnation of the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. His perception probed the 9 heavenly layers. He could faintly sense that Yu Huang's silhouette was there. It was like she had become a part of the starry space, existing everywhere. Once, the imperishable Heaven Lord should have done this as well. She sacrificed herself for her Tao and borrowed the power of the 9 heavenly layers to seal Azure Mystic, using a heaven-defying method to make Azure Mystic vanish from the face of the world, changing the heavens and earth. At this moment, not only did his soul grow incomparably powerful, he also seemed to have control over Yu Huang's Tao, the Tao of the imperishable Heaven Lord. Bang! A heaven-shaking explosion rang out. The barrier in the surroundings was completely destroyed. Jun Mengchen and Qin Yuanfeng were both flung through the air by the terrifying might. They retreated to Qin Wentian's side, both of them were injured. Terrifying rumbling sounds rang out. In the air, that gigantic figure descended from the 9 heavenly layers. He lowered his head and stared at them with cold disdain in his eyes. Only the 3 of them remained. Baiming Yu Huang and the imperishable Heaven Lord sacrificed themselves for Qin Wentian. Did they think that they would be able to deal with him? He was the fusion body of 5 God Kings. Right now, even the Grim Reaper had become a part of his body. How could the 2 of them fight against him in such a short period of time? Qin Wentian wasn't him, he didn't have many of his abilities. For example, he was able to digest all the energy he obtained in an extremely short period of time. He was like the Tao of the Grim Reaper. His eyes stared down at the boundless starry space. Beams of death light shot out, instantly landing on Qin Wentian and the others. These beams of death light could annihilate all existences. How many layers of death energy could be stacked together? It was simply unimaginable. The expressions of Qin Yuanfeng and Jun Mengchen were extremely unsightly. In the end, they still couldn't escape their fate. During the process of their battle, they could deeply sense how powerful this figure was. It was too terrifying, simply invincible. At this moment, Qin Wentian inclined his head. His eyes were filled with boundless sorrow and desolation. In the sky, the countless constellations seemed to have sensed his sorrow. At this moment, many constellations radiated sealing light at the same time, landing in the starry space around them. Chapter 2036. Boundless sealing light transformed into a supreme Tao art, sealing this spacetime. At this instant, the space Qin Wentian and the others were in was completely sealed. When the light of death rained down, it was slowly devoured by the sealing light. Yu Huang. Qin Wentian stared at the boundless starry space. Over there seemed to be Yu Huang's shadow. Her soul transformed into the Tao, merging into the 9 heavenly layers. Each and every constellation seemed to have her. At this moment, many scenes flashed through Qin Wentian's mind. The scenes of the past were all reverberating in his mind. He remembered the first time he met Yu Huang, it was in the city of ancient emperors. However, at that time, Yu Huang wasn't in her true form. She was like a beautiful female ghost. At that time, he felt that she was too beautiful and didn't seem to belong to the mortal world. It was only until he came to the Hokage Sengoku kingdom and saw her true body and learned that she was a princess of the lifelong Immortal dynasty. The 2 of them had some conflicts and Yu Huang wanted to deal with him, but he resolved it. Naturally, they got to know each other because they roamed the supreme ancient Immortal realms together. Under the arrangements of the crazy old freak, the 2 of them came to the upper world together and went to the Lifeire Palace of the lifelong realm. The moment they arrived, they immediately offended the Jialan monarch, causing him to become a bandit. Baiming Yu Huang was forced to stay in the Lifeire Emperor Palace, and in fact, she was half imprisoned. After that, Baiming Yu Huang was imprisoned in the lifelong Saint Hall. The lifelong realm lord actually wanted to marry Baiming Yu Huang, and Baiming Yu Huang agreed. All these bits and pieces, scenes of the past, as well as many details, flashed through his mind. At this moment, Qin Wentian was still immersed in his sorrow. In fact, he didn't even try to comprehend his own strength. Elder sister Yu Huang. In another location in the starry space, there were also many people crying. Mo Qingqing cried bitterly, her tears falling like rain. Her elder sister Yu Huang didn't ask for any status, she had always been deeply in love with Qin Wentian. Even when she died, it was all for the sake of Qin Wentian. In addition, she didn't ask for any status. She, Qin, and sister Qinyu's sacrifices had all been repaid. They had been together with Qin Wentian for many years and were in love with each other. Only for her elder sister Yu Huang, she had nothing. Even the icy cold Qin had tears in her eyes. When Qin Wentian fought to the death, they didn't even cry. But now, they were actually crying. Boom! The Dark North Immortal Emperor, Baiming Nongyue and the others wanted to rush out, but they were stopped by Luotian Qianxue and Luotian Chuan. How could they let them send themselves to death? Is the heavenly Tao really so heartless? When Bai Wuya saw this, he let out a sigh. That devil didn't care about the lives of the common people, but he had invincible power. However, regardless of whether the heavenly Tao was heartless or not, the battle still continued. Tao annihilation. In the air, that incomparably gigantic figure's true body moved. He punched out, this fist that was even larger than a constellation directly slammed into the ceiling barrier of light, wanting to destroy all Taos. Countless cracks appeared on the barrier of light before it shattered into pieces, releasing the seal. Roar! The 10,000 Buddhas bowed. A thunderous roar rang out as countless Buddhas appeared in the boundless starry space, all of them letting out roars of rage. With this roar, the lives of the common people suffered a calamity. Many people died. Qin Yuanfeng and Jun Mengchen both let out roars of agony. Their souls felt like they were about to collapse. Qin Wentian also felt his boundless soul energy being destroyed. That roar was like breaking dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, unceasingly tearing apart the connection between him and the constellations in the sky. Wentian, pull yourself together. Qin Yuanfeng roared, his voice penetrating deep into the soul. Qin Wentian's body trembled. He stared at his father. At this moment, his father, who was like a war god, his aura fluctuated as his countenance paled. Once, when the experts of the supreme ancient immortal realms invaded the heaven vault, his father borrowed the power of the Tao to descend and expel the deities of the supreme ancient immortal realms. How glorious was that! But now, his opponent was simply too strong, so strong that he was invincible. He, father and son, together with Yu Huang and Jun Mengchen, weren't his opponent. Now, Yu Huang died for the Tao, giving all her strength to him. His life no longer belonged to him. What qualifications did he have to continue feeling sad? There was only one thing he needed to do. He had to fight and destroy the God King of the Western Paradise. Thunderous rumbling sounds rang out. Qin Wentian's body continued to grow larger and larger. Buddha, demon, and devil light shone on him as his body grew more and more tyrannically. Very swiftly, he transformed into a towering giant. He was the same as the God King of the Western Paradise. His body spanned across the astral river as countless constellations enveloped him, causing astral light to fill the sky. The two of them faced each other in the astral river. In Qin Wentian's eyes, a will to die could be seen. If he didn't kill the God King of the Western Paradise, only death awaited him. The people of the world stared at the two gigantic figures in the air as their hearts pounded madly. This was too terrifying. Was this the ultimate battle of the supreme ancient immortal realms? The victor of this battle would be conferred the title of God King of the supreme ancient immortal realms. No one in the world would be able to fight against him. Someone sighed. The people in the surroundings nodded. Whoever won would become a true God King of the supreme ancient immortal realms. The world would submit to them. They basically didn't need to use their sex to control the supreme ancient immortal realms because a single word from them would be the law of the world. A single thought from them could cause calamity to befall the people of the world. With such power, would there still be a need for them to govern the supreme ancient immortal realms? The God King of the Western Paradise saw that Qin Wentian had transformed into a giant, but there was no worry in his eyes at all. Qin Wentian merely fused the power of two juniors and they wanted to fight against him. How could it be so easy? 2 out of the 5 opponents had already died. Very soon, everything would end. Kill! A cold voice rang out. The Buddhas and devils in the air all rushed towards Qin Wentian's gigantic body. Each of them was proficient in different Daos, capable of annihilating everything. Their attacks all contained Dao annihilation arts. Qin Wentian coldly stared at his opponent. The boundless astral light in the air transformed into a supremely powerful divine formation. With him as the center, sealing light shot out, sealing the constellations in the air. If he wanted to kill the invincible God King of the Western Paradise, he had to break his connection with the people of the world, making him unable to borrow the power of faith from them to fight. Are you the only one who can summon them? Qin Wentian roared. Countless devils and demon gods descended from the starry space. For a period of time, countless deity-level demons, devils and Buddhas were born. The two of them created two armies that instantly clashed against each other. A deity-level battle erupted. For a period of time, the heavens and earth crumbled as the astral river trembled. Kill! Qin Wentian roared in rage. A gigantic spacetime storm manifested in the astral river, wanting to kill all Buddhas and devils. He stepped out and soared through the air. His body was incomparably gigantic, but this didn't mean that his speed was slow. The Tao of spacetime directly allowed him to appear before his opponent. With a lift of his hand, countless divine swords transformed into a spacetime sword formation that blasted towards his opponent. At this instant, the entire astral river lit up with sword light. The boundless astral river was filled with a sword storm. The God King of the Western Paradise had a cold smile on his face. Qin Wentian wanted to shake him. In that case, let's clash then. A terrifying devil fist blasted out, shattering everything. This devil fist was like a black hole, frenziedly devouring the sword Daos in the air. At the same time, it also shattered all attacks. However, Qin Wentian didn't stop his attacks because of this. His sword pierced through spacetime and instantly increased in speed, causing space to distort under the might of his sword intent. Fist and sword collided. The astral river trembled and there were constellations in the surroundings that were directly destroyed. Qin Wentian only felt a terrifying force rushing into his body. This was the power of the Grim Reaper. Qin Wentian's face turned black as his life force was about to stop circulating. However, the life energy in his body was also circulating frenziedly. He who was bathed in boundless astral light was rapidly expelling that power. As for the God King of the Western Paradise, he was completely fine. Behind him, the countless shadows shattered. Each shadow represented the life of a person. The God King of the Western Paradise suffered from this attack, causing the lives of all living beings to be destroyed. As expected, if I don't break his Tao, I won't be able to kill him. All living beings in the world will suffer a calamity. Qin Wentian's gaze was extremely cold. It was still the same. No matter how strong his attacks were, it was useless. With a flash of his silhouette, Qin Wentian stood in the boundless starry space, using his heaven-defying Tao of sealing to unceasingly seal constellations. However, it was clear that his Tao didn't have the ability to instantly seal the constellations. Although his speed was already extremely fast, it seemed that he was still too late. The God King of the Western Paradise wouldn't stop killing him. You really make me feel surprised. The God King of the Western Paradise's gigantic eyes stared at Qin Wentian. Seems like the hope of transcendence lies on you. Qin Wentian and Princess Kitamura were both people from this generation. It was unknown how many years later they started cultivating compared to him. They were merely the successors of his former opponents. But when Princess Kitamura's energy landed on Qin Wentian, he was actually able to unleash such powerful combat prowess. Only he could do this. Only he alone could sense the constellations in the sky and borrow their power to fight. As the God King of the Western Paradise's voice rang out, he launched another attack towards Qin Wentian. In addition, Qin Wentian couldn't even dodge because Qin Yuanfeng and Jun Mengchen were still behind him. Boundless darkness lotuses appeared in Qin Wentian's soul. There was also the Tao of fate affecting Qin Wentian. Countless Buddhas and devils rushed over. That gigantic body of the God King of the Western Paradise also blasted out fiend god fists, using all sorts of Dao arts to attack Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian used all sorts of innate techniques to block. Every time he blocked, the countless shadows behind the God King of the Western Paradise would vanish. Qin Wentian himself was safe and sound. As for Qin Wentian, he didn't even dare to use his full strength to counterattack. Because, if he counterattacked, he would kill the lives of the people. Despicable. Jun Mengchen cursed in rage. This devil wanted to use the lives of the people to fight against him, causing his senior brother to be restricted. In addition, his senior brother couldn't bear to harm the lives of the people. But even so, every time he counterattacked, many people would die. Qin Wentian was attacked time and time again. His gigantic body trembled as blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. But as he attacked, Qin Wentian actually closed his eyes, using his perception to sense everything and continue to fight. He knew that this couldn't continue on. Right now, although he could control some of Yo Huang's abilities, the attacks he unleashed were still stronger than before. Although he could borrow the power of the constellations in the sky to strengthen his attacks by countless times, it was useless. If he didn't comprehend deeper and allow his Dao to transform, breaking the Dao of his opponent, there would be no hope for him to win this battle. What should he do exactly to break the Dao of his opponent? If he simply attacked the body of the God King of the Western Paradise, even if he won in the end, the entire supreme ancient immortal realms would be buried together with him. Chapter 2037. Although Qin Wentian's eyes were closed, he could clearly sense everything in the starry space. The Buddhas and devils all rushed over, it was like the emotionless heavenly Tao wanted to kill him. In Qin Wentian's sea of consciousness, lotus flowers kept appearing in his soul. On the lotus throne, there was a Buddha body and a devil body. The Buddha body was incomparably pure and holy. It stared at Qin Wentian. Good and evil have their own paths. Lay down the butcher's knife and you can save the lives of the people. Why not be stubborn? Within his body, Qin Wentian's shadow appeared. He coldly stared at the Buddha body and coldly spoke, if good and evil have their own paths, you should go to hell. If you become me, from now on, we will control the heavens together. The supreme ancient immortal realms will submit to us, we will be one. There's no need to care. At this moment, the devil body appeared, bewitching Qin Wentian's heart, causing Qin Wentian to give up resisting. The Buddhas and devils alternated, unceasingly affecting Qin Wentian. Outside, there were still many powerful attacks rushing over, wanting to destroy him. The God King of the Western Paradise controlled the power of the constellations in the sky, borrowing the fate of the people in the world to fight. He was an invincible existence, comprehending the myriad of laws in the world. How difficult was it to kill him? Let alone killing the lives of the people in the world. There seemed to be no Tao that could accomplish this. Yu Huang, what should I do? Qin Wentian sensed the boundless starry space, the 9 heavenly layers. Yo Huang's figure seemed to still be there. The boundless astral rivers were so beautiful and majestic, like a beautiful painting. It was like he could see Yo Huang smile, waiting for him in the painting. At this moment, Qin Wentian's heart grew even more resolute. Back then, God King Shi almost transcended and controlled the 9 heavenly layers, creating the heaven vault and enveloping the astral rivers. Even after he died, he still transformed into a tiny astral being, creating a starry world in his sea of consciousness. What realm was this? God King Shi dared to seek transcendence, why wouldn't he dare? Just give up, just give up. Countless voices rang out in Qin Wentian's soul, telling him to give up resisting. Qin Wentian's eyes abruptly opened. He inclined his head and stared at the sky. It was like he could see the grim reaper, Yu Huang, and little Yi. Why did the heavenly Tao want them to die? Why did the evil cultivators control the heavenly Tao? Since the heavenly Tao is heartless, I will change the heavens. Qin Wentian roared in rage, causing the 9 heavenly layers to tremble. Everyone in the supreme ancient immortal realms felt their hearts pounding. The heavenly Tao is heartless, so I will change the heavens. What kind of ambition is this? However, could he do it? The starlight of the heavens descended upon Qin Wentian. He sensed the Tao of the heavens, and it evolved in the starry sky in his mind. Within it, there seemed to be the power of the heavenly Tao brewing and flowing into his body. This was something God King Shi failed to do back then. Now, he was prepared to try it. Since there was no hope, he might as well give it his all. For the sake of slaying the evil cultivators, he would have no regrets even if he died. Qin Wentian's body expanded. His body was originally already incomparably gigantic. If he continued to expand, it was like he wanted to transform into the 9 heavenly layers. This scene was too terrifying. He continued to grow larger, wanting to occupy the entire 9 heavenly layers. The constellations in the 9 heavenly layers were all moved when they came into contact with him. What are you doing? The eyes of the God King of the Western Paradise involuntarily narrowed when he saw this scene. He stared at Qin Wentian, he didn't understand. What was Qin Wentian trying to do? Was he going to self-destruct? Was he going to destroy all lives? Senior brother Qin. Jun Mengchen's heart trembled violently. He stared in a daze at the gigantic figure of Qin Wentian. Wentian. Qin Yuanfeng also stared at Qin Wentian. No. Mo Qingqing frantically shook her head. She had a bad premonition. Everyone around her was staring at Qin Wentian with intense worry and sorrow in their eyes. The heavens have no Tao. He wants to change the heavens. The people of the supreme ancient immortal realms all held their breaths when they saw this scene in the starry space. Was there really no way for Qin Wentian to win this battle? Was there really no one who could stop the God King of the Western Paradise? Bang! A thunderous boom rang out, causing the entire supreme ancient immortal realms to tremble. Regardless of which corner of the supreme ancient immortal realms one was in, everyone could feel this terrifying fluctuation. Qin Wentian's figure vanished, it was like his soul had dispersed. In the sky, boundless light suddenly lit up. It was the same as before, but there seemed to be some differences. The 9 heavenly layers had given birth to a new world. In the starry space, Qin Wentian's figure could no longer be seen. It was like he had vanished from this world. The God King of the Western Paradise inclined his head and stared at the sky. This was the first time he had no way to maintain his calmness. Intense waves rose up in his heart. He could sense that above the 9 heavenly layers, another world had appeared. Did he die? If he died, everything would be meaningless. There would only be one sky. The people of the world were staring at the sky, like they were waiting for something. Would he appear? Although the people of the world could sense how strong the God King of the Western Paradise was, they still hoped that Qin Wentian would win. The God King of the Western Paradise was a devil, he held the fate of the people of the world hostage. However, Qin Wentian didn't appear even after a long time. It was like he really didn't exist in the starry space. Arg! Mo Qingqing howled in pain. She felt so much pain that she wanted to die. Such pain, maybe only those around her could understand. Why? Why did she pay so much and endure so much? In the end, the ending was still like this. Was the heavenly Tao really so heartless? It was like the voice of the God King of the Western Paradise could be heard. In the air, a gigantic face appeared. At the instant this face appeared, the entire world turned silent. Mo Qingqing cried bitterly when she saw this scene. Right now, no one knew what happened. Most probably, only the God King of the Western Paradise knew a little. You actually succeeded. The God King of the Western Paradise inclined his head and stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian transformed his body into the Tao. In addition, he transformed the 9 heavenly layers into worlds. Heavenly deities could all create their own heavenly Tao worlds. However, who could create worlds of the 9 heavenly layers? Creating the Taos of the 9 heavenly layers. Just like what Qin Wentian said, the heavenly Taos were heartless. He wanted to change this piece of sky. Right now, there were 2 heavenly layers, 2 astral rivers. This was the 9 heavenly layers. It was also Qin Wentian's world. Qin Wentian had indeed succeeded. What God King Shi didn't manage to do, he did. His path was even further compared to the past God King Shi. His eyes stared at the God King of the Western Paradise, flickering with an incomparably intense killing intent. At this moment, a cold smile appeared on the face of the God King of the Western Paradise. He stared at the face in the sky and spoke, "So what if you succeeded? You can control a piece of the heavenly layers, I'm the same as well. In addition, I control the fate of the people of the world. How can you kill me? Gods and devils of the heavenly layers, kill." The God King of the Western Paradise roared in rage. Countless gods, devils, Buddhas and demons appeared, rushing towards the piece of sky created by Qin Wentian, wanting to destroy it. Qin Wentian stared at the gods and devils of the heavenly layers. A moment later, boundless calamity light descended from the starry space. Within this calamity light, there was Buddhic light and devil light. They were either incomparably holy or exterminating. These beams of light landed on the gods and devils of the heavenly layers. In an instant, a majestic scene appeared in the starry space. The gods and devils of the heavenly layers were all cleansed and killed by the beams of light. This was the grand heavenly Tao. Qin Wentian was now the incarnation of the heavenly Tao. This piece of sky was created by him. The God King of the Western Paradise was merely borrowing the power of the heavenly Tao. You created the Tao of the 9 heavenly layers, how can it contend against the true might of the heavenly Tao? The God King of the Western Paradise roared in rage. He opened his mouth and drew in a breath. The power of the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers gushed towards him. Even the 9 heavenly layers created by Qin Wentian were devoured by him. The sky trembled as the constellations shifted positions. All of a sudden, a gigantic face appeared in the sky, swallowing a constellation in a single gulp. Boundless astral light flowed towards the face that swallowed the constellations. Even time stopped flowing. After that, a world of darkness descended. It was like another spacetime, swallowing the constellation, directly banishing it. Qin Wentian's cold eyes stared at the God King of the Western Paradise. At the instant his gaze landed, numerous divine eyes appeared in the sky, locking onto the God King of the Western Paradise. That area of spacetime was sealed, absolute stillness was completely controlled by Qin Wentian. The God King of the Western Paradise roared in rage, wanting to struggle free from the restraints of the heavenly Taos. Boom! His gigantic body trembled as he blasted out punch after punch, wanting to shatter the heavenly Taos. His movements became very slow. He wanted to use the Tao of time to reverse everything, but he discovered that he couldn't do so. Even if I can't kill you, I have to suppress you forever. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. Killing the God King of the Western Paradise was equivalent to exterminating all lives. I don't believe that your Tao of time is able to seal me. The God King of the Western Paradise roared in rage. Since I can't seal you, I will create a spacetime astral river then. Qin Wentian waved his hand as boundless astral light cascaded down. Each of the constellations contained boundless time, space, sealing, and other Tao arts. These boundless astral light cascaded down towards the location where the God King of the Western Paradise was at, transforming into a river that grew longer and longer, eventually becoming an astral river. Qin Wentian not only wanted to change this piece of sky, he also wanted to create an astral river. The God King of the Western Paradise's body was incomparably gigantic, able to traverse the astral river. But in the flowing astral river, his movements became extremely sluggish. Millions and millions of constellations continued to descend, landing within the astral river. If the God King of the Western Paradise's body was incomparably huge, he would make all the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers descend, forming a boundless astral river. He disregarded everything, wanting to suppress the God King of the Western Paradise forever. Chapter 2038. The astral river grew longer and longer. The gigantic body of the God King of the Western Paradise sped through the astral river, wanting to step out of it. His steps were extremely large, and every step he took felt like he wanted to cross an entire sky. However, he still couldn't step out of the astral river. The spacetime there seemed to be chaotic. Even if he couldn't seal the God King of the Western Paradise, he wanted to trap him for eternity. How can you create a piece of the heavens? The God King of the Western Paradise roared in rage. He lifted his hand, wanting to destroy the constellations in the astral river. However, Qin Wentian remained unmoved. His expression was resolute and cold. Yu Huang sacrificed her life for her Tao, allowing him to achieve his goal. This was all for the sake of that trace of hope. He definitely wouldn't disappoint Yu Huang. When he stared at the 9 heavenly layers, it was like he could see Yu Huang's face. The heavenly Taos are emotionless. He wanted to change the heavens. Back then, God King Shi once wanted to control the heavens, using his will to envelop the 9 heavenly layers, using his body to create the heaven vault. What sort of power was this? He was imitating God King Shi, but the path he walked was different. Yu Huang transformed into the Tao, using her soul to transform into the 9 heavenly layers. He was also imitating Yu Huang, walking the path of Yu Huang. In addition, he fused the advantages of the two of them, comprehending the 9 heavenly layers before using the Stargate in his sea of consciousness to form a world of stars, creating a piece of the heavens. This was extremely dangerous. If he was the slightest bit careless, he would die. His soul would scatter. By doing this, if he failed, he would only die. Luckily, he succeeded and created a world of the 9 heavenly layers. This was a true world of the heavenly Taos. His will was the heavenly Taos. Naturally, this was the heavenly Taos of the world he created, it wasn't the true heavenly Taos of the 9 heavenly layers. Hence, he didn't manage to transcend. It was too difficult to do so. The God King of the Western Paradise didn't even manage to fuse with the bodies of 5 God Kings. Even if he gained enlightenment, he wouldn't be able to ascend to the heavens in a single step, directly transcending everything. If he truly transcended the 9 heavenly layers, he would be able to undo the shackles the God King of the Western Paradise had on the lives of the supreme ancient immortal realms with just a single thought. But even if he didn't transcend, being able to create the 9 heavenly layers was still an unprecedented feat. The heavenly Taos are heartless, I shall change the heavens. Such boldness was unparalleled in the supreme ancient immortal realms. He created the astral river of time and space, wanting to suppress the God King of the Western Paradise eternally, making it so that he wouldn't be able to harm the common people. However, what sort of character was the God King of the Western Paradise? He had cultivated for countless years and had fused with the bodies of 5 God Kings. After that, he also controlled the imperishable Heaven Lord and the Grim Reaper force. He was in existence on the same level as the 7 God Kings. Even if he was trapped in the river of time, how could he be defeated so easily? The boundlessly chaotic spacetime was unable to destroy his will to fight. For this battle, he came here for the sake of transcendence. He stepped out, unceasingly shattering the constellations around him, causing them to explode one after another. He wanted to destroy this world created by Qin Wentian. Even if it might take a long time, he didn't care. Moreover, he had other means. It all depended on whether Qin Wentian could bear it. Inclining his head, the God King of the Western Paradise could no longer see Qin Wentian's figure. Qin Wentian was trapped in the chaotic spacetime. But so what of it? His power was connected to the 9 heavenly layers. As long as he willed it, he would be able to affect the 9 heavenly layers. You say I'm an evil devil. But aren't you the same as well? You killed countless lives, and how many people died because of you? Also, countless lives will be destroyed because of you. Right now, I'm going to let you see the calamity you have created. As the voice of the God King of the Western Paradise faded, boundless astral light cascaded down from the 9 heavenly layers, enveloping the astral river. Within the astral river, many scenes appeared. Qin Wentian was in one of these scenes. Qin Wentian turned his gaze over. On a street, a young woman was kneeling on the ground and sobbing. Beside her, there was a wedding procession. She stared at the ice-cold corpse on the ground as she cried her heart out. Not long ago, the man she loved was suddenly enveloped by the light of fate. It was like he was being controlled by someone. Not long after, an all-annihilating might bore down on the man she loved, directly killing him, leaving her alone. In another scene, in a residence, the sounds of sobbing were extremely loud. 2 ice-cold corpses laid on the ground. They were a young couple with a child and an elderly beside them. They were all sobbing bitterly, not daring to believe that such a calamity would suddenly befall their family. The old woman was even roaring in anger at the heavens. Why must the heavens do this to her descendants? If there was karma in the world, why didn't it land on her, an old woman? In fact, there were even young children who were killed by the sudden calamity. Their parents were cursing the heavens. Why was the heavens so cruel, not even sparing the children who had just started cultivating? Scenes of joy and sorrow played out everywhere in the supreme ancient immortal realms. In fact, there were many people who committed suicide because of the pain they felt. These people all died because of the battle between Qin Wentian and the God King of the Western Paradise. They were originally innocent, but fate dragged them into this battle together. Vile creature! Qin Wentian roared in rage. His eyes were red. These people were all innocent, but because of the Tao of fate of the God King of the Western Paradise, they were dragged into this battle. Haha, what about you? Do you know who killed them? The God King of the Western Paradise coldly spoke. After that, another scene appeared. That was the figure of Princess Kitamura. She stood there and smiled at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian was also looking at her. His heart was filled with incomparable pain as he called out, "Yu Huang." Then who did she die because of? Another voice rang out. In the air, the boundless constellations, as well as the sorrowful wills of all lives in the world, all of them converged into a formless energy that gushed towards Qin Wentian. This energy was unfathomable and formless. Qin Wentian stared at Baiming Youhuang's silhouette as tears flowed down his face. He felt as though his heart had died. That's right, who did Youhuang die for? He stared at the fate of the people in the world. The families of those people were shattered. They were the same as him, they had people they treasured. But now, how innocent were they? You said that you didn't kill me because you wanted to suppress me in the astral river of time and space forever. But can you do that? Also, the people in the world will still suffer a calamity because of you. Look! A voice rang out. The God King of the Western Paradise clenched his fist. It was like he was grabbing the lives of countless people and directly crushing them. In the next instant, it was unknown how many people died. The scenes of their deaths all appeared before Qin Wentian's eyes. Numerous families were shattered, their people died. You say that I'm a devil and that all of this is because of me. But what about you? If I can attain the Tao, the supreme ancient immortal realms would be united and the people in the world would submit to me. The faith of the people in the world would be my strength and I would definitely treat them kindly. How would I kill them? Now, it's merely because of your selfishness that you caused the people in the world to suffer a calamity. This calamity is caused by your selfishness. You aren't afraid of death, everything you did was for the sake of the people around you. However, are you the only one with a family? You caused the deaths of countless families. How would they feel when they lost their loved ones? Numerous voices resembled the voice of the heavenly Daos, entering Qin Wentian's body together with sorrow, imprinting themselves in the 9 heavenly layers. Not only for Qin Wentian, even Jun Mengchen and Qin Yuanfeng were greatly affected. They stared at the calamity and involuntarily shed tears. Was their resistance wrong? Was it them who caused the people in the world to suffer a calamity? Continue to trap me. Every time I destroy a constellation, I will kill the person whose fate is connected to the constellation. Let me see your benevolence, your kindness. As the voice rang out, countless people died. The fates of these people transformed into projections that appeared in the starry space, appearing before Qin Wentian. He saw a brother and sister pair who depended on each other in life and death. The elder brother was killed and the younger sister carried his corpse, wanting to beg immortals to save her elder brother. That scene caused tears to flow down his face. He thought of his younger sister Qin Kursin, of Luo Shenlei, and of Bai Qing. If he was killed, they would be like this as well. He saw countless scenes of calamity, as well as countless touching scenes. He closed his eyes in pain. The strongest heart devil in the world was when you clearly knew it was a heart devil but you couldn't escape it. You had to endure it. Numerous voices rang out unceasingly in his mind, together with the calamity of the people. At this moment, in the air, the light of fate enveloped Qin Wentian. Numerous beams of tribulation light bore down on him, attacking him. Qin Wentian lifted his palms to destroy them, but he discovered that what he destroyed were actually the fates of many constellations. The scene of countless deaths flashed through his mind, each scene battering against his heart and soul. Why? Qin Wentian roared in rage. The heavenly Daos are emotionless. He changed the heavens, but wasn't that enough? Why did he have to endure such cruelty? He only wanted to kill the evil devils and protect his loved ones. Yet, he was kidnapped by the fates of the people and had no way to resist. He thought that if he could suppress the God King of the Western Paradise forever, he would be able to save the people of the world. But clearly, he was wrong. Even if the God King of the Western Paradise wanted to annihilate the people of the world, he still wanted Qin Wentian to die. After a few more times, Qin Wentian's body started to tremble. Finally, another beam of fate light descended. Qin Wentian lifted his hand, wanting to destroy it, but he eventually placed it down, allowing the light to blast into his soul, causing his body to tremble. Beams of fate light continued to rain down. Qin Wentian's body grew more and more illusory. He still inclined his head and stared at the sky, feeling reluctance in his heart. But what could he do? Should he continue to slaughter the people? How could he bear to continue watching these scenes? The people of the supreme ancient immortal realms were all incomparably enraged when they saw the scenes in the starry space. The God King of the Western Paradise didn't mind activating the calamity just to kill Qin Wentian. Right now, Qin Wentian clearly already had the advantage. He could fight against the God King of the Western Paradise and originally wanted to launch a counterattack. Yet, he encountered a terrifying calamity. For the sake of the lives of the people, did he want to give up? Who was the Buddha? Who was the Buddha? Buddha said that good and evil would be repaid. But where was the retribution? The Buddha spoke of karma and samsara. Why did this devil control karma and control fate? All the people in the world felt sorrow for Qin Wentian. Could it be that he ultimately couldn't escape his fate? Chapter 2039. Everyone in the supreme ancient immortal realms saw what happened to Qin Wentian. They were asking, who was the Buddha and who was the devil? At this moment, those people whose fates were controlled by the God King of the Western Paradise all started to struggle. Their faith was wavering. At this moment, an intense obsession appeared in the hearts of everyone. They all hoped that the God King of the Western Paradise would die. They hoped that Qin Wentian would be able to win. The boundless obsession transformed into a formless energy that flowed towards the starry space of the supreme ancient immortal realms. In the starry space, Jun Mengchen felt as though his heart was being sliced by knives when he saw this scene. Everything that everyone experienced, not only could Qin Wentian see it, he could also see it. At the corner of his eyes, there were still traces of tears. Seeing that Qin Wentian was still struggling, his figure flashed and actually flew towards Qin Wentian. He came to the side of Qin Wentian's illusory figure and spoke, "Senior brother, you and I have fought side by side for so many years. Even if we die, we have to die together. Let's work hard one more time. Maybe, we might have a chance to seal the constellations in the starry space. How good would that be?" As the sound of his voice faded, Jun Mengchen closed his eyes. His will enveloped the 9 heavens, enveloping the entire world. After that, boundless insights from the energy flowed towards Qin Wentian. Tao transformation. A tear flowed from Jun Mengchen's eyes. He stared at the sky and cursed in anger, "Damnable old heavens, if I control the heavenly Tao, I will definitely break apart your heartless heavens." His roar of anger shook the sky. After that, his figure gradually turned illusory. Qin Yuanfeng, who was below, saw this scene, his heart violently trembled. He smiled at the vanishing figure before turning to Qin Wentian. Was this what it meant to be a brother? Using their lives to exchange for a trace of hope. So many people sacrificed themselves. Was it still not enough? Qin Yuanfeng turned his gaze over. He saw another figure walking towards this starry space. This figure was extremely beautiful. Her eyes were wet, so beautiful that it would cause one's heart to break. Qingqing. Qin Yuanfeng's heart trembled. He turned his gaze to his wife, Luotian Qianxue. Qingqing's strength was originally sealed, why did she come here now? Very soon, he understood. His wife and Qingqing didn't wish for Qin Wentian to give up. Hence, Qingqing came here. The fate calamity light continued shooting towards Qin Wentian. After fusing with Jun Mengchen's insights, his comprehension of the 9 heavenly layers grew even deeper. It was like he could clearly sense everything in this world, seeing the experiences of all the lives in this world. He could even see Qingqing walking towards him. His heart trembled when he saw her. Qin Wentian. Mo Qingqing inclined her head and stared at the illusory figure in the air. Tears could be seen at the corners of her eyes as she coldly spoke, "I don't care about the heavenly Tao, I don't care about the lives of the common people. I'm not so noble, I only want you to live." Qin Wentian's heart pounded violently. At this moment, Mo Qingqing's voice was so cold, yet so resolute. "You already have the strength to win, yet you have to endure the calamity for the sake of the common people. You only think of the common people, but have you ever thought of me, Sister Qing, Yu Huang, father and mother? Who are they doing this for?" Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes were still staring at the sky. Qin Wentian could see that her now, tears were already streaming down her face. "I only want you to live. For you, I can endure all calamities. Even if the heavenly tribulations befall me, I'm willing to endure it. I want you to live." Mo Qingqing cried out. Her body was burning, she hoped that Qin Wentian would be able to pull himself together, she hoped that Qin Wentian would resist. "Qingqing, what are you doing?" Qin Yuanfeng called out. However, Mo Qingqing didn't seem to hear it. The flames on her body burned even more intensely, like the flames of the heavenly Tao, burning her body. "No!" Qin Wentian screamed. He stretched out his hand, wanting to grab Mo Qingqing. But at this moment, beams of tribulation light shot over, directly penetrating through, severing his arm. "I swear on the heavenly Tao that if you live and all lives die, I'm willing to endure millions and millions of years of reincarnation. Every time I reincarnate, I will endure the pain of being burned by the heavenly Tao. This is my first reincarnation." The heavenly Tao light around Mo Qingqing transformed into the power of her oath. Her body grew more and more illusory, but the eyes of her illusory figure were still as resolute as ever. If you die, disregarding your own life, disregarding the lives of me and Sister Qing, after 20 years of reincarnation, I will marry someone else. Mo Qingqing's voice thundered through the heavens and earth. Her figure turned completely illusory and vanished. A beam of tribulation light flew up into the heavenly Tao, heading towards reincarnation. She wanted Qin Wentian to live. She was willing to endure everything, even if she had to endure millions and millions of years of reincarnation. She wouldn't allow Qin Wentian to die. If not, after 20 years of reincarnation, she would marry someone else. Qingqing. Qin Wentian was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. Why did things turn out like this? He had experienced the calamity of all lives and endured boundless pain. Why did he have to endure such pain? Mo Qingqing's voice rang out through the starry space. Those in the world who could sense the battle in the starry space could all hear it. Could they blame Mo Qingqing? No, each and every voice was so cold and emotionless yet filled with deep emotions. She only wanted the man she loved to live. Even if for this, she was willing to endure millions and millions of years of reincarnation, the pain of being burned by the heavenly Tao. Even more obsessions gushed towards Qin Wentian. At this moment, the people of the world actually hoped that Qin Wentian would be able to pull himself together. They hoped that Qin Wentian would fight. Even if the calamity of all lives landed on him, they were willing to see it. Boundless obsessions landed on Qin Wentian, wanting to resist the pain and sorrow of the God King of the Western Paradise. Qin Wentian seemed to be able to sense the emotions and obsessions of all lives. He inclined his head and stared at the sky. With a roar of anger, his illusory figure became corporeal again. With a single glance, he transformed into a heaven-slaying blade that directly slashed apart the beams of destiny that were shooting over. Countless destinies collapsed. However, at this moment, Qin Wentian didn't feel any sorrow. The powerful fate energy bore down on him. He inclined his head and stared at the starry space. Is this the power of fate? Do you all hope that I will continue fighting? Boundless obsessions frenziedly flowed into the starry space, entering Qin Wentian's body. The God King of the Western Paradise was frowning at this moment. He felt that something was wrong. The fates of many people actually broke free from him. Using intense obsessions to break free from the shackles of fate, this originally shouldn't have happened. How powerful was his Buddha-Dao fate art? He could easily influence the hearts of everyone, seizing their faith. But at this moment, an accident actually occurred. Something that shouldn't have happened actually happened. On the contrary, Qin Wentian's will enveloped the entire world, enveloping the starry space. He could sense the boundless obsessions, countless destinies, the hearts of the people of the world, the joys and sorrows of the world, as well as many emotions. All of these gathered on him at this moment, transforming into a powerful faith energy that enveloped him. The heavenly Tao is emotionless, the people of the world have emotions. Qin Wentian could sense all these changes. He involuntarily shed tears. Qingqing, I will definitely find you. He stared at the sky, staring at the fates of the people on the countless constellations as he shouted, do you all hope that I will continue fighting? Boundless destinies transformed into extremely powerful obsessions. That was the will of everyone. I understand now. Qin Wentian inclined his head as a smile appeared on his face. As this smile appeared, boundless astral light cascaded down on Qin Wentian. At this instant, the entire Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms started to tremble. Not only the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms, the 33 Immortal Realms were all trembling. In the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms, countless people inclined their heads and stared at the sky. At this moment, an incomparably resplendent astral light suddenly appeared in the sky. The entire world was trembling as the might of the heavenly Tao descended, causing countless people to walk out of their rooms. When they stared at the sky, their hearts trembled violently. What happened? Not only for Azure Mystic, the Eastern Royal Immortal Realms, Scarlet Sun Immortal Realms, the other Immortal Realms, every single location was trembling. Phenomena appeared in the sky as the 33 Immortal Realms resonated with each other. In the air, a supreme sense of will energy appeared. This sense of will was even stronger compared to heavenly might. In the supreme ancient immortal realms, in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, the white-robed young man was still standing there with Headmaster Yi standing behind him. At this moment, a faint smile finally appeared in the eyes of the white-robed young man. "Master, has he transcended?" Headmaster Yi asked in shock. His comprehension of the heavenly Daos is extremely deep and he can sense the Tao of the 9 heavenly layers. After that, with the support of Princess Kitamura and Jun Mengchen, he created the Tao of the 9 heavenly layers and split the 9 heavenly layers apart. I once did something similar to him, stepping into the supreme immortal realms. If he continues to comprehend the 9 heavenly layers he created, he might be able to contend against the 9 great heavenly layers one day. But if he wants to control the supreme ancient immortal realms, just this alone isn't enough. This world originally already has its own laws and order, there are countless lives in the world. If he wants to transcend, other than comprehending the heavenly Daos, he still needs the will of the masses. The God King of the Western Paradise already knew this point. Hence, he wanted the faith of everyone in the world, wanting to control their fates. Sadly, he ultimately chose the wrong path. If one doesn't experience the calamity of the masses, how can he understand the will of the masses? The God King of the Western Paradise can be said to have helped him. The white-robed young man smiled, feeling happy for Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian finally managed to reach this step. In this case, he wouldn't be too lonely in the future. Headmaster Yi also had a smile on his face when he heard his master's words. Has Qin Wentian finally transcended? Teacher, do you still want to act now? Now that the masses are facing a calamity, we need to salvage the situation. Headmaster Yi couldn't help but speak. The white-robed young man glanced at him and smiled as he shook his head. After that, he turned and departed. Right now, he is no longer weaker than me. Why would I still need to act? The 9 heavenly layers are already his. Chapter 2040. In the heaven vault, in the astral river of time and space, the body of the God King of the Western Paradise trembled unceasingly. The fates of all lives were breaking away from his control, resonating with the heavens. He naturally could sense it. No, this can't be, this can't be. He frantically shook his head, feeling an intense reluctance in his heart. He had already foreseen that the time to transcend has arrived. His prediction wasn't wrong, but the person who transcended, wasn't he? Why was this happening? He seized the faith of all lives, controlling their fates. Why wasn't he the one who transcended? Astral light flowed, the constellations in the astral river vanished unceasingly. Very soon, the God King of the Western Paradise appeared in the original starry space. In the air above him, Qin Wentian stared at him, his expression was cold to the extreme. Transcend? What qualifications do you have to transcend? Qin Wentian stared at him. At this moment, the God King of the Western Paradise felt that everyone was looking at him. Every gaze was so cold. The people of the world abandoned him, he no longer had faith in him. His aura grew weaker and weaker as the control of fate he had over his fates was being stripped away. The body of the God King of the Western Paradise was still trembling. A moment later, he calmed down. He stared at Qin Wentian and suddenly laughed maniacally. I didn't expect that even though I could foresee the future and speculate on fate, I still failed to foresee my own fate. I cultivated the Tao of fate, yet I was played by fate. This isn't my fault, I wasn't wrong. This is the result of fate. As the sound of his voice faded, his gigantic body started burning. The entire starry space was burning as well. He seemed to know that his fate was already determined and he no longer resisted. A thunderous boom rang out. His body exploded, causing the starry space to tremble. Everyone in the world felt their hearts trembling when they saw this scene. Has everything ended? However, things haven't ended yet. Qin Wentian stared at the vanishing figure of the God King of the Western Paradise as a cold smile appeared on his face. He lifted his hand and grabbed out in the air. In an instant, beams of light from the constellations in the sky descended, landing at the place where the God King of the Western Paradise exploded. A figure gradually manifested. This figure was extremely illusory, it was half Buddha and half devil. It was impossible to see his features clearly. Is this your Tao of Anatta? Your body, the fate of all living things, isn't controlled by your fleshly body. Your true body is attached to the stars in the heavens, controlling all living things. Even now, you still want to deceive me? Do you want to live? Qin Wentian's voice was incomparably calm, yet cold to the extreme. The figure that appeared trembled, and the Buddha and the devil alternated. He roared at Qin Wentian, wanting to break free from the formless power of the heavenly Tao. But at this moment, it was as though the power of the nine heavens' great Tao had landed on his body, and he couldn't break free. That face changed unceasingly, occasionally transforming into that of a crazed old man, staring at Qin Wentian. Wentian, you have finally reached this step. From time to time, he would transform into a little leaf and say, Godfather. Qin Wentian watched everything with an expressionless face. He stared at that figure and spoke, since you like to play with fate so much, I will let you die in the boundless calamities of fate. As the sound of his voice faded, boundless fate light descended from the sky, transforming into calamities of fate that bore down on the shadow of the God King of the Western Paradise. In an instant, screams of misery rang out. The boundless calamities of fate slowly stripped away the soul of the God King of the Western Paradise. Every second was the cruelest torture in the world. Kill me. Numerous roars of rage rang out. The God King of the Western Paradise struggled in agony. However, Qin Wentian's heart was like steel at this moment. Even if the God King of the Western Paradise used the cruelest torture in the world to deal with him, he still felt that it wasn't enough. Boundless rage bore down on Qin Wentian. This was the same as Qin Wentian, they wanted nothing more than to tear the God King of the Western Paradise into 1,000 pieces. At this moment, what dogfart kindness! All of them had to scram. If they still wanted to talk about kindness and morality, what did everything they did earlier count for? Could it be that they could just forget about it? The God King of the Western Paradise could only use the cruelest methods to deal with him. You will be tortured in the boundless chaotic spacetime for 1 trillion years. Qin Wentian waved his hand. It was like he didn't want to see the God King of the Western Paradise's figure for even a moment longer. The God King of the Western Paradise had entered the boundless chaotic spacetime and would have to endure the calamities of fate for 1 trillion years. After expelling the God King of the Western Paradise, Qin Wentian turned his gaze to the 9 heavenly layers. His will enveloped the 9 heavenly layers. At this moment, the entire world seemed to be a single entity. The world light shone before him and gradually, a spirit body was formed. This spirit body kept on transforming and eventually transformed into the appearance of Jun Mengchen. Jun Mengchen's body moved. After that, he opened his eyes and stared at Qin Wentian. It was like he didn't dare to believe this as he called out, Senior Brother Qin. Mengchen. Qin Wentian smiled at him. Senior Brother Qin, did you win? Also, what's going on? Didn't I transform into the Tao? Jun Mengchen spoke when he saw this scene. Mengchen, you are born with the ability to control the Tao of the world because you are a true spirit of creation of heaven and earth. You are a world spirit body. Even if you transform into the Tao, you would only transform into a part of the 9 heavenly layers. Qin Wentian spoke. He only found out about this earlier. A world spirit body? What is that? I'm born from heaven and earth. Jun Mengchen scratched his head as he mumbled. Qin Wentian revealed a smile. It means that in the future, you will be the one to control the world. This world is yours. What about you, senior brother? Jun Mingchen was even more puzzled. Me? Qin Wentian smiled and didn't reply. He continued to stare at the 9 heavenly layers. The starlight in the 9 heavenly layers was as beautiful and majestic as ever. The boundless starlight seemed to transform into a beautiful figure. It was the figure of Princess Kitamura. Princess Kitamura transformed into the Tao and merged into the 9 heavenly layers, allowing Qin Wentian to sense the 9 heavenly layers more clearly. Yu Huang, I want you to return. Qin Wentian roared at the sky. Boundless light cascaded down as a princess's figure appeared in the 9 heavenly layers. This figure was incomparably beautiful and holy, it was none other than the figure of Princess Kitamura. She was the same as Jun Mingchen, stunned. After that, she saw that Qin Wentian, the God King of the Western Paradise, had already vanished. At this moment, how could she not understand what was going on? A radiant smile appeared on her face. At the same time, a teardrop flowed down her face. This teardrop was like a sparkling and translucent constellation. Did she succeed? Qin Wentian was still alive and well. As for her, it originally didn't matter if she could return or not. But now, she has returned. This was naturally a better ending. Qin Wentian also stared at Princess Kitamura. The two of them stared at each other in the starry space as radiant smiles appeared in their eyes. Qin Wentian didn't say any words of thanks. Between them, what meaning was there to words of thanks? Qin Yuanfeng, Luotian Qianxue and the others all smiled when they saw this scene. They hoped that everything would be fine. When they were in despair, Qingqing entered samsara, Jun Mingchen transformed into the Tao, Qin Wentian underwent a transformation, causing the 9 heavenly layers to tremble. Right now, Qin Wentian has finally reached that step that no one has ever reached before. Qin stared at everything in the air. She also smiled. However, her hands were still clenched tightly because there was still someone who hasn't returned. She didn't know what transcendence meant. Would it be able to change everything? Would she be able to come back to life? If she couldn't return, Qin Wentian would still be in pain. She would be the same as well. Not only for Qin, many people around her felt the same. They were very happy because Qin Wentian won. All the calamities have finally ended. However, they were also very nervous because there was someone who hasn't returned yet. Everyone understood the weight of that person in Qin Wentian's heart. That person was someone no one could replace. She looked so cold. She could disregard the lives of the common people and wanted Qin Wentian to live. However, she would rather endure the tribulation of samsara for millions of years. She only wanted Qin Wentian to continue fighting. Mo Qingqing, could she return? Everyone was praying in their hearts, hoping that Qin Wentian could do it. Everyone stared up at the starry space. Qin Wentian's gaze finally shifted away from Princess Kitamura. He closed his eyes and in the next instant, everyone only saw Qin Wentian's silhouette vanishing. However, an instant later, he appeared again, standing in the starry space. Before him, another figure appeared. This figure was none other than the Grim Reaper. At the instant she saw the Grim Reaper, tears actually flowed from Qing's smiling eyes. Qin Wentian could do it, he really could do it. Everyone relaxed their nervous hearts. Since the Grim Reaper could return, everyone would be able to return as well. What ability is this? In the supreme ancient immortal realms, someone felt their hearts trembling when they saw the Grim Reaper returning. Those who were already dead had all returned. He has already transcended, surpassing the Taos of the 9 heavenly layers. The him now is no longer bound by the heavenly Taos and can surpass the cycle of samsara. He can walk in the past and the future, even reversing the flow of time. Earlier, maybe, he went to the past and brought the Grim Reaper back. An expert mumbled, the shock in his heart was incomparably great. From today onwards, Qin Wentian would be the God King of the supreme ancient immortal realms. He truly deserved it. Everyone in the world felt happy for him. Luckily, he stopped the God King of the Western Paradise, or it would be a calamity for all lives. Since the Grim Reaper can revive, what about the lives of the common people? Many people had expressions of anticipation on their faces. This was a calamity. Right now, Qin Wentian has already reached the peak of his cultivation realm, transcending the cycle of samsara. He most probably wouldn't be willing to see this calamity. Such a calamity was simply too tragic. Everyone hoped that they could salvage the situation. There was also Qin Wentian's wife. The people of the world also hoped that she would be able to return and live a good life. Although she was so cold earlier and didn't care about the lives of the common people, no one blamed her. They truly hoped that she could return. They hoped that the supreme ancient immortal realms would have a perfect ending. Chapter 2041. Qin Wentian still stood in the starry space. He still had many things he hadn't done. Also, at this moment, he could sense the will of the masses. He could sense that they all hoped for Qingqing's return. He was very happy. The great Tao is emotionless, but the masses have emotions. Although there were evil characters like the God King of the Western Paradise and Yu Changkong in the world, ultimately, there were many kind-hearted people in the world. How could the masses suffer such a calamity? He closed his eyes and his perception enveloped the 9 heavenly layers. The 9 heavenly layers and the countless constellations radiated the light of fate, cascading down on the world. The beams of fate light enveloped the countless bodies in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Those bodies quietly laid there, their fates had been stripped away. But now, Qin Wentian wanted to return it to them. The countless constellations seemed to have reversed the flow of astral light. The fates of countless lives appeared above the constellations. After that, they flowed towards the supreme ancient immortal realms, resembling a rain of life that cascaded down on the boundless earth. This rain of stars was so beautiful, so resplendent. The people of the supreme ancient immortal realms felt like they were in a dream. It was too beautiful. Elder brother, this rain of stars is so beautiful. Can you see it? At this moment, a young girl who was carrying her elder brother's corpse on her back couldn't help but cry when she saw the beautiful scene in the sky. Yeah, it's so beautiful. A voice rang out behind her. The young girl trembled violently. After that, she put down the corpse she was carrying on her back and stared at the awakened figure behind her. She couldn't help but cry bitterly as she threw herself into the arms of the young man. Her elder brother had come back to life. In another place, in a courtyard, a young couple sat up from the cold ground. They looked curiously at the crying parents and child beside them and asked, "What's wrong?" The old man and child started. After that, the child cried and threw himself into the arms of his parents. The old man's body trembled as he knelt to the sky. The heavens have eyes, the heavens have eyes. Under an ancient tree, a man sat there. His heart was like dead ashes, like a dead man. In his arms, there was an extremely beautiful woman. At this moment, the woman's eyelashes fluttered. After that, she opened her beautiful eyes and saw the man she loved staring blankly into the distance. She asked softly, "Are you all right?" The man froze, lowering his head to look at the woman. Her beautiful eyes were still staring at him. After a few moments, the man lowered his head and deeply kissed the woman's red lips. The woman was stunned, her beautiful eyes blinked. After that, as though she could feel the love of her lover, she also hugged the man's neck, forgetting herself for a moment. Such scenes occurred everywhere in the supreme ancient immortal realms. After experiencing the calamity, the entire supreme ancient immortal realms regained its vitality and vitality. When the meteor shower disappeared, everything in the starry sky also disappeared. The people of the world felt a sense of loss. Countless people looked up at the sky and silently prayed in their hearts. Father, Mother, who saved me? In the supreme ancient immortal realms, a child who had just started cultivating not long ago asked. Qin Wentian. His parents looked at the sky and hugged their child. It was very warm. Who is Qin Wentian? The child innocently asked. The eyes of his parents flashed. After that, his father smiled, the supreme ancient God King. The supreme ancient God King. Not far away, there were also people who spoke the same 4 words. The supreme ancient God King. In every corner of the supreme ancient immortal realms, these 4 words rang out unceasingly. Gradually, everyone in the supreme ancient immortal realms knew about this. They all stared up at the starry sky and prostrated themselves in worship, filled with boundless reverence. In the air, the 4 words Supreme Ancient God King rose up into the air, directly soaring up into the 9 heavenly layers, shaking the entire universe. Until, in the entire supreme ancient immortal realms, there were only these 4 words. These 4 words represented true faith, the faith of everyone in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Wentian could sense everything that happened in the supreme ancient immortal realms. However, he didn't feel excited because of the title the people of the world gave him. The him right now still had many important things he wanted to do. A figure appeared in the starry space. This figure was extremely beautiful and exuded vitality. She stood in the starry space, and when her gaze landed on Qin Wentian, she couldn't help but be stunned. After that, she suddenly started crying and called out, "Godfather." As she spoke, she quickly rushed into Qin Wentian's embrace and sobbed, "Godfather, little Yi knew that you would definitely save me. I thought that I would never be able to see Godfather again. It's fine now, everything is in the past." A smile appeared on Qin Wentian's face as he lightly patted little Ye's back. Behind Qin Wentian, several silhouettes walked over. Among them were Fan Lu and Xian Xian. Both of them were trembling as they stared in disbelief at the scene before them. Fan Yi. Fatty's eyes were wet. He didn't expect that his daughter would still be able to return. "Father, Mother." Fan Yi then rushed towards Fan Lu and Xian Xian. When Qin Wentian saw that his family was reunited, a relaxed smile appeared on his face. The guilt he felt in the past could finally be made up for. Luckily, he didn't make it in time. "Father, Mother, what's going on exactly? Didn't I die? Also, right now, I feel like I'm dead. It's like there's another me. This feels like a surreal world." Little Yi softly spoke. Xian Xian's tears flowed, "Lass, it's fine now. Everything is in the past. Your godfather has already transcended the heavenly Tao and is in control of the 9 heavenly layers, allowing you to revive from the dead." Ah! Little Yi blinked. She turned her head and stared at Qin Wentian. "Godfather, are you more powerful than a heavenly deity now?" Qin Wentian smiled and nodded. "But why do I still have a feeling that everything is surreal? My other self has already died." Little Yi shook her head. She didn't understand. This feeling was very strange. "Silly lass, don't think too much. Godfather will protect you well." Qin Wentian gently patted Fan Ye's head. "Little Yi, don't worry. With Godfather around, no one will be able to bully you in the future." A voice rang out. It was Ouyang Qinshin. Qinshin. The sisters met again and embraced each other. At this moment, the Grim Reaper glanced at Qin Wentian and transmitted his voice, "I also have a similar feeling. Is it because you changed our original fate?" Qin Wentian turned his gaze to the Grim Reaper as he nodded his head lightly. Seems like there were still some repercussions. However, being able to achieve this was already the best ending. After all, he transcended the heavenly Tao and changed his fate. This was why he could bring the Grim Reaper and Little Yi back. "Wentian." At this moment, Qin stood beside Qin Wentian and called out softly. Qin Wentian turned his head and stared at Qin beautiful eyes. There seemed to be something on her mind. How could he not understand Qing's thoughts? He walked up and hugged the woman he loved tightly as he softly spoke, Qing, from today onwards, this world will never be able to separate us again. Qing nodded lightly and similarly hugged Qin Wentian. His mother, Luotian Qianxue, also walked over. Many of his loved ones also turned their gazes to Qin Wentian. Because, there was still one person who didn't return. That person was someone who couldn't be missing in Qin Wentian's life. If he didn't return, the ending wouldn't be perfect. Qin Wentian released Qing. When he thought of that ice-cold oath, his heart felt like it was being sliced by knives. He hated himself. Why did he let her suffer such pain? However, should he defy the heavens and change his fate to allow Qingqing to return? If that's the case, Qingqing would be the same as the Grim Reaper and Little Yi. She would be incomplete. Qingqing didn't die. She transformed into the Tao and entered the cycle of reincarnation. He would be able to find her. Closing his eyes, Qin Wentian seemed to be sensing something. He saw an innocent little girl growing up carefreely without any worries. There was no pain, no sorrow, only happiness. A moment later, Qin Wentian opened his eyes, feeling a little relieved. He turned his head and stared at Princess Kitamura. "Yu Huang, are you willing to wait for me for another 20 years? Princess Kitamura's heart trembled as her eyes turned moist. She naturally understood the meaning behind Qin Wentian's words. She nodded heavily. "Even if I have to wait for 2,000 years, I'm willing. I'm willing to endure 20 years of longing to protect her, to wait for her, to accompany her as she grows. When she recovers her memories, I want the woman I love to be perfect and flawless." Qin Wentian stared at everyone as he spoke. Everyone nodded heavily. This was Qin Wentian punishing himself. For the next 20 years, he would think of her every day and endure it alone. Qingqing, who had entered the cycle of reincarnation, had no idea of this. When her memories awakened, only then would she truly be the complete Qingqing. "I'll accompany you." Qing held on to Qin Wentian's hand as she spoke in a light voice. Qin Wentian looked at her and nodded with a smile. The people in the surroundings all had smiles on their faces. To them, 20 years was very short. They were all willing to accompany Qin Wentian and wait together. 20 years later, everything would be even more perfect. They were all filled with anticipation for the arrival of that day. Qin Wentian told Yu Huang to wait for him for 20 years. Before Qingqing returns, it would be hard for Qin Wentian to have the mood to hold a wedding. But after Qingqing returns, there would definitely be a grand wedding in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Yuanfeng and his wife clasped their hands tightly together. Everything was moving towards a perfect future. Chapter 2042. Qin Wentian was a conferred king of the supreme ancient immortal realms. He was known as the God King of the supreme ancient immortal realms. The Qin heavenly divine sect ruled over the world. From now on, there were no more 8 regions in the supreme ancient immortal realms. The world was one and the hearts of the people were all willing to submit to them. In the heaven region, at the ancient ruins of the Qin clan, a towering divine palace rose up from the ground. It was known as the God King Palace and became the center of the supreme ancient immortal realms. As for why they chose the ancient ruins of the Qin clan and not the boundless sea region, it was a decision made by the supreme characters of the Qin clan, Qin Tiangang and Qin Yuanfeng. Naturally, the current God King Palace was no longer the Qin clan of the past. With Qin Wentian around, who in the world would still remember the Qin clan? They would only know that the God King Palace was chosen here. Maybe it was because Qin Tiangang and his son wanted to reminisce about the past. But no matter what, this faction that was once abandoned by the Qin clan completely replaced the Qin clan and became much stronger. Everyone worshipped them and they became the absolute center of the supreme ancient immortal realms. The God King Palace stood tall, the Qiankuan sect and 9 heavens mystical palace of the heaven region all became part of it. In this storm that affected the hegemonic powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms, they were the few hegemonic powers that survived. Also, in the future, they would grow even stronger. All of this was because they made the right choice, standing on Qin Wentian's side. The prison god clan, Che clan and many other major powers were all destroyed. The name of the battle saint tribe once again resounded through the heavens and earth. The Luotian clan, Demon God Mountain, Namhuang clan, Evergreen clan and other major powers, as followers of the God King of the supreme ancient immortal realms, there was naturally no need to say anything. All of them could freely enter and exit the God King palace. It was unknown how many geniuses in the world wanted to join them. The Tiandao Sacred Academy was still a sacred ground, standing tall and unshakable. No one could shake its position. As for the names of those around Qin Wentian, those who once fought alongside him, their names all resounded through the supreme ancient immortal realms. Jun Mengchen was rumored to be the spiritual body of the world. He was born to control the world. During the battle of primordial King Conferral, he had once transformed into the Tao to support Qin Wentian. People called him the divine king of the world. Princess Kitamura was Qin Wentian's beloved woman. It was rumored that she and the primordial godly king Qin Wentian had been in love for many years, but because the godly king had a wife by his side, they could only silently stay together. During the primordial king Conferral battle, her soul also merged with the 9 heaven star river and was resurrected by Qin Wentian. The people of the world called her the Dark North Godly King. Qin Yuanfeng, God King of the 6 Paths Qin Wentian's pet, the heaven-devouring beast, was said to be close to the level of a God King. It was the descendant of God King Desolation. In the future, it would definitely become the new God King Desolation. It was only a matter of time. Evergreen Qin, and Imo Qingqing's names naturally became famous after Qin Wentian was conferred the title of the 9 heavens goddess, the wife of the supreme ancient godly monarch. Everything in the supreme ancient immortal realms was overturned. Everything was flourishing and filled with vitality. Countless lives in the supreme ancient immortal realms, no matter how far away they were, all of them rushed towards the heaven region, going on a pilgrimage. From now onwards, the God King Palace would become a pilgrimage ground in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Over there would be a person who achieved unprecedented accomplishments, transcending the 9 heavens and saving the lives of the people. A single word from him could determine the laws of the world, allowing people to revive from the dead. There were even people who wanted to beg Qin Wentian to save their friends and family. But they knew that other than this calamity, it was impossible for Qin Wentian to save others. If not, the order of the world would be thrown into chaos. Qin Wentian didn't need to do anything else. He could only focus on reviving the dead. Outside the God King Palace, many people stood together. They stared at the God King Palace that towered into the 9 heavens as endless emotions flooded their hearts. In fact, there were even some old people who couldn't help but cry bitterly, burying their heads in the ground as they kowtowed to the God King Palace. Qin Ding and Qin Zheng, they harmed our Qin clan. They were all members of the Qin clan, they came here just like everyone else to view the God King Palace. When they saw the majestic scene of the God King Palace today, one could very well imagine how they felt in their hearts right now. They could only be described with the words regret, so much pain that they wished they were dead. If the matters of the past didn't happen, the Qin clan would be the overseer of the God King Palace now. Everyone in the world would come here to pay their respects. How glorious would that be? There has never been such glory in the supreme ancient immortal realms before, even surpassing the glory of the 8 God Kings of the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Wentian was now the #1 expert in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Tiangang and his wife were revived by him, and together with Qin Yuanfeng, they became the overseer of the God King Palace, controlling the most central area of the supreme ancient immortal realms. In truth, right now, Qin Tiangang and Qin Yuanfeng weren't as happy as they imagined. On the contrary, they felt a headache, there were too many things they had to handle. After the God King Palace was established, people of the world came here to pay their respects. How many things had happened in the supreme ancient immortal realms? Countless matters, big or small, were all gathered here. Qin Wentian was so good, he directly threw all the work away and no one could blame him. After all, everyone knew what he was going to do. These countless matters, big or small, could only be handled by them. The desolate region is a little troublesome. In-law, does your Luotian clan still have any thoughts? The Demon God Mountain and Battle Saint Tribe are also from there. In the future, who will be the one to govern the desolate region? Qin Tiangang spoke to Luotian Chuan. After he was revived, he knew that Qin Wentian had transcended. He was incomparably happy in his heart. This was his grandson. Back then when he returned from the past, he suppressed the Qin clan and died together with Qin Ding. The hope of his bloodline was all on Qin Wentian. His grandson didn't disappoint him. There's no need to consider my Luotian clan. Luotian Chuan smiled and waved his hand. He was Qin Wentian's maternal grandfather. It was meaningless for him to want the authority to govern a region. As long as Qin Wentian existed, the Luotian clan would exist. But now, who else would be able to do anything to Qin Wentian? Elder brother, do you have any suggestions? Qin Yuanfeng glanced at Luotian Yu as he asked. Right now, the Sky Order heavenly deity has already recovered to his peak state. Before Wentian left, he left behind a message. Our God King Palace isn't established for the sake of governing the supreme ancient immortal realms. It's only to set some rules. As long as no evil characters like the Western Paradise or Yu Changkong appear, we won't interfere in the matters of the world. The desolate region is more chaotic, why don't we let it become the territory of the demons? Qi Yu has followed Wentian for many years, he most probably wouldn't care about such a minor matter. Luotian Yu spoke. Qin Yuanfeng nodded. Mengchen, why don't you communicate with Qi Yu about this? Qin Yuanfeng glanced at Jun Mengchen who was reading through the scrolls at the side. There were simply too many scrolls from the major and minor powers of the various regions. Qin Yuanfeng's divine sense scanned through them one by one and his speed was extremely fast. Right. Jun Mengchen nodded. At this moment, a figure walked in. It was Luotian Lei. Her beautiful eyes flashed with unhappiness. She stared at Luotian Chuan and her father, Luotian Yu, grandpa, father, a group of elders from the Luotian clan has returned. Who? Luotian Yu frowned. After that, he seemed to have understood something. He coldly spoke, they still have the face to return. Luotian Chuan also had a cold look on his face as he walked forward. Luotian Qianxue also understood what was going on when she heard their conversation. She asked, is it Luotian Mu and his group? She already knew of some things that happened in the Luotian clan back then. Back then, when Qin Wentian appeared in the Luotian clan, not only did Luotian Mu's group not provide protection, they even directly sold the news to the Qin clan. Qin Jing personally went there to capture Qin Wentian. A heavenly deity pursued Qin Wentian who was still at the World Overlord realm. If it wasn't for the fact that Qin Wentian's talent was at the peak, allowing him to kill a heavenly deity, the God King Palace most probably wouldn't exist today. Luotian Mu didn't come. Luotian Lei spoke. Most probably, Luotian Mu also knew that no one would accept him. However, since these people dared to come, their skin must be extraordinarily thick. I didn't find them to settle the debt. Now, they actually still have the face to return. Luotian Qianxue coldly spoke. Qin Wentian might not care about the matters of the past, but she did. Luotian Chuan's group almost caused the death of her son. They said that they came here to apologize. Luotian Lei spoke. Apologizing is a lie. They probably want to ask for forgiveness and return to the Luotian clan to enjoy life. Luotian Qianxue coldly spoke. How could there be such a good thing in the world? Layer, pass the order. Capture all of them and bring Luotian Mu back. Investigate what happened in the past and deal with him all at once. Luotian Qianxue coldly spoke, exuding a bone-chilling aura. No one doubted her words. Luotian Lei nodded and left this place, going to relay Luotian Qianxue's order. After the order was given, people swiftly went to deal with this matter. Those who followed Luotian Mu were all captured. Not long after, Luotian Mu was brought back to the God King Palace. One could very well imagine his ending. This matter circulated through the supreme ancient immortal realms. Everyone said that right now, the will of the supreme ancient God King could cover the entire supreme ancient immortal realms. For those who offended him in the past, they wouldn't be able to escape even if they wanted to. After this news circulated out, many people felt panic in their hearts. They took the initiative to head to the heaven region, preparing to apologize. But right now, the person who was conferred the title of godly monarch, the character worshipped by everyone in the world, Qin Wentian, wasn't in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Right now, the name of the supreme ancient godly monarch no longer only circulated through the supreme ancient immortal realms. The 33 immortal realms came to pay their respects and ancient azure mystic was completely unsealed. The ancient ruins were opened and the azure mystic immortal realms expanded by an unknown amount. The name of the Heaven Empyrean still resounded through every corner of azure mystic. The people of Azure Mystic already knew that the Heaven Empyrean Qin Wentian had already been conferred the title of Godly Monarch in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. He was the #1 character in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms now. The 9 heavenly layers were all under his control. For those who still didn't know the name of the Godly Monarch, only the particle worlds around the 33 immortal realms. In the particle world where Qin Wentian once grew up, there was a small ancient city. The Mo residence in the city was an extremely famous clan. This was especially so for the younger generation of the clan Mo Changtian. He was the #1 genius of the Mo residence and he married the #1 beauty in the city, becoming the envy of countless people. Today, the entire Mo residence was bustling with activity. Everyone was very nervous because today was the day Mo Changtian's wife was about to give birth. At this moment, outside the Mo residence, a young man stood there. The guards at the entrance only felt that this young man was extraordinary. He was clad in white and had a handsome countenance. Also, the aura he exuded gave people a strange feeling. But at this moment, this white-robed young man seemed to be extremely nervous as he stared into the Mo residence. After that, the cries of a baby rang out. After that, a joyous cheer rang out in the Mo residence. She gave birth to a daughter. Young Master Changtian gave birth to a daughter and is preparing to name her. What should our child be called? Mo Changtian stared at his weak wife. He carried the baby in his arms and spoke in a light voice, like you. In the future, you will surely be a great beauty. You can decide. The woman spoke in a light voice. Right, my daughter will surely be a beauty capable of toppling empires. Let's call her Mo Qingqing then. Chapter 2043. Now that the Mo residence had a young miss, it was filled with vitality. Not far away from the Mo residence, there were a few simple houses. Every day, he would sit in front of the house and stare in the direction of the Mo residence in a daze. Sometimes, he would smile foolishly and sometimes, he would come to the Mo residence and quietly watch. Gradually, the people of the Mo residence recognized him. They felt somewhat strange, why would such a handsome young man stay outside the Mo residence all day? In addition, his demeanor was extraordinary yet the aura he exuded was very ordinary. There was nothing special about him and he seemed like an ordinary good-looking person. Because he was good-looking, he didn't disturb the Mo residence. The people of the Mo residence naturally allowed this strange young man to exist. In the blink of an eye, half a year passed. Little Qingqing already learned how to walk and was extremely lively and adorable. Sometimes, her family members would bring her to the entrance of the residence. Every time he saw this scene, that strange young man would be extremely serious and even a little agitated. He would have a smile on his face and it was simply too good-looking when he smiled. If not, the people of the Mo residence would surely think that he had evil intentions towards little Qingqing. Mo Changtian also noticed him. There was once when he couldn't help but to walk up to him and ask him what he wanted to do exactly. Qin Wentian only smiled and didn't reply. He couldn't possibly tell Mo Changtian that he was waiting for his daughter to grow up. If he did so, Mo Changtian would surely think that he was a madman. Naturally, he had too many methods to bring Qingqing away but he didn't. He would use 20 years to quietly watch her grow up. Spring passed and autumn came. 2 years passed. Qin Wentian was still the same as before. His hair hadn't been trimmed for a very long time and his beard had grown out. Today, a 2-year-old little girl ran out of the Mo residence. She was extremely adorable and had a ponytail. There was already a shadow of her from her previous life. Upon seeing her running over, the smile on Qin Wentian's face turned extremely gentle. "Strange uncle, my father said that the weather is getting colder. Why don't you come and sit in the residence for a while?" Little Qingqing's voice sounded extremely childish. Qin Wentian smiled and shook his head. "In that case, I will accompany strange uncle here for a while. My father told me to read some books and said that I have to prepare to cultivate at any time." "Strange uncle, have you started cultivating?" Little Qingqing asked. "Yes." Qin Wentian nodded gently. "Do you want my father to teach you? You can come and read with me." Little Qingqing leaned against Qin Wentian and sat down. She who was still immature didn't know that she had an innate sense of closeness to the man before her. In front of little Qingqing, a snow-white puppy rubbed itself against her. Little Qingqing giggled and spoke in a melodious voice, "Little rascal, you are being mischievous again." At this moment, Qin Wentian's brows twitched. However, he relaxed a moment later and continued to quietly accompany little Qingqing. In the small house behind him, Qin quietly stared in the direction where Qin Wentian was at. Not far away from her, a few figures appeared. It was none other than Jun Mengchen, Princess Kitamura and Yi Qianyu. Senior brother truly has deep feelings for elder sister Qingqing. Jun Mengchen spoke in a light voice. Qin Wentian's name has long resounded through the supreme ancient immortal realms. It was unknown how many people paid homage to him, wanting to meet him. However, his senior brother actually came here alone, wanting to accompany Qingqing as she grew up. However, when he thought of the vow Mo Qingqing made 2 years ago in the starry space, his heart involuntarily trembled, finding it hard to calm down. What kind of feelings must Mo Qingqing have for her to make such a vow? "Why are you guys here?" "It's fine for me to accompany him alone." Qin spoke in a light voice. Her personality had always been quiet and she was long used to silently watching Qin Wentian. Very long ago in the particle world, it had always been like this. For the next 20 years, she would accompany Qin Wentian. "I have some things to ask senior brother." Jun Mengchen spoke. "Sister Yu Huang and Sister Qianyu want to come and take a look." "Elder sister Yu Huang, it has been hard on you." Qin spoke to Princess Kitamura. Qin Wentian told her to wait for him for 20 years. Right now, there were still 18 years left. Yu Huang smiled and shook her head. She naturally understood Qin Wentian's feelings. Qingqing didn't return, how would Qin Wentian have the mood to marry her? They didn't disturb Qin Wentian who was accompanying Qingqing. They silently watched on. They also missed Qingqing. She wasn't merely Qin Wentian's wife, she was their kin as well. After a long time, after Qingqing returned to her residence, Qin Wentian slowly walked over. Upon seeing Princess Kitamura and the others, a warm smile appeared on Qin Wentian's face. Senior brother. Jun Mingchen walked over. Didn't I tell you to stay in the supreme ancient immortal realms? If there's anything, just send a message to me. Why did you come down personally? Qin Wentian asked. Jun Mingchen scratched his head and smiled. Sister Yu Huang and Sister Qinyu both miss you. Uncle and auntie also asked me to come and visit elder sister Qincheng. They also wanted to come but they didn't want to disturb you. Hence, they decided to continue waiting, hoping that you can bring elder sister Qincheng back as soon as possible. It has been hard on you guys. Qin Wentian spoke to Princess Kitamura and Yi Qianyu. The two of them smiled warmly, clearly not minding it at all. Senior brother, there's a power named the Star River Association that specializes in developing in particle worlds. They came here to beg senior brother for forgiveness. It's said that they once offended senior brother in a particle world. I only found out about this after reading some records from many years ago. In addition, they brought the people in charge of the Star River Association to the God King Palace. Also, the Jiang clan of the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms and some other powers also came here to beg for forgiveness. Jun Mingchen spoke. In the past, these powers all hid but now, they didn't dare to not come out. They were afraid that Qin Wentian would remember this grudge. Now that Qin Wentian was conferred the godly monarch of the supreme ancient immortal realms, it was useless even if they hid. They could only take the initiative to beg for forgiveness. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. This was something that happened many years ago. Because too many things happened to him, he gradually forgot about some things. Now that Jun Mingchen mentioned it, he did recall it. Tell the Star River Association to disband. From now on, cripple their cultivation bases. As for the other powers, Mengchen, you guys can deal with them as you see fit. Qin Wentian casually spoke, sounding extremely carefree. Right. Jun Mingchen nodded. There are still some matters in Azure Mystic that weren't settled cleanly in the past. I'll settle them as well. Qin Wentian nodded. To him, those matters were no longer that important. Jun Mingchen and the others stayed for a period of time before they left. Only Qin Wentian, and Little Rascal who had transformed into a pet remained. Who knew what sort of characters were living in this ordinary-looking little house? Winter, the little city was covered in white snow. It was quiet and beautiful. Little Qincheng was already 6 years old. She had long started her cultivation and her first constellation was able to condense a connection with a constellation from the fourth heavenly layer, causing an uproar in the entire kingdom. Right now, countless people were paying attention to the Mo clan, as well as a little girl named Mo Qincheng. Outside the Mo residence, melodious laughter rang out. On the snow-white ground, footprints of various sizes could be seen. On the ground, a snowman was built. This snowman had very long hair and a long beard, yet it was handsome. It was actually in the form of Qin Wentian. Strange uncle, do the snowman I built look like you? Little Qincheng called out to Qin Wentian. She who was 6 years old already had some resemblance to her younger self. She was extremely beautiful. Yes. Qin Wentian smiled and nodded. For 6 years, he didn't do anything. He only watched as Qincheng grew up bit by bit. Although he was an outsider and had never taken half a step into the Mo clan, Qincheng gradually treated him as a relative. Naturally, this was also because of the innate sense of closeness between them. The people of the Mo clan were long used to Qin Wentian's existence. Also, he wouldn't harm Qincheng, he truly doted on her. In addition, Qin Wentian had a fairy-like beauty as his wife. Hence, everyone naturally wouldn't think that he had any bad habits. Although they didn't understand what Qin Wentian was planning, they still let him be. Naturally, there were many people in the Mo clan who disliked Qin Wentian. However, Qin Wentian wouldn't bother with them. Strange uncle, let me help you trim your hair and beard. Little Qincheng walked to the side of Qin Wentian as she spoke. Sure. Qin Wentian smiled and nodded. A mischievous smile appeared on Qingqing's face. Astral energy flowed around her little hands as she helped Qin Wentian to trim his hair. After that, she also tidied his beard. Not long later, some black hair and beard could be seen on the white snow. Qingqing stared at the appearance of Qin Wentian as she innocently spoke, "Strange uncle, you are the most good-looking person I've ever seen. When I grow up, I want to marry someone as good-looking as strange uncle." Qin Wentian's heart trembled. He silently mused in his heart, "Qingqing, I will wait for you to grow up. Qingqing, come back." Someone in the Mo residence called out. Mo Qingqing nodded and replied, "Second uncle, I will be right back." After speaking, she jogged back to the Mo residence. "The residence is so big, why do you always like to run outside to play? Now, you can already cultivate and your talent is the best in the history of our Mo clan. Work hard in your cultivation and in the future, your name will shake the world. Don't leave the residence too often." The man spoke in a strict tone. "Oh." Little Qingqing nodded her head unwillingly. After that, she turned her head and made a face at Qin Wentian. Her second uncle coldly glanced at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian quietly watched, he didn't do anything. Unless something major happened, he wouldn't interfere or disturb Qingqing's growth. He hoped that she would grow up happily, without any worries. Chapter 2044. The supreme ancient immortal realms were undergoing heaven-toppling changes every day. Countless new powers rose up as countless geniuses were born. All of them had the same dream, they wanted to join the God King Palace. For example, the Battle Saint tribe, Namhuang clan, Myriad Devil Islands etc. If they joined one of these sects, they would be able to soar up into the sky with a single leap. In fact, they might even be able to enter the heaven vault and comprehend the Tao in the starry space. The changes in the supreme ancient immortal realms also affected the other 32 immortal realms. Among them, the changes in the Eastern Royal Immortal Realms and Scarlet Sun Immortal Realms were the greatest. Back then, Yu Changkong wreaked havoc in the Eastern Royal Immortal Realms, causing the lives of the people there to be plunged into misery. Now, they were gradually recovering. In the Scarlet Sun Immortal Realms, the young master of the Chao clan who once rebelled and left the Scarlet Sun Immortal Realms was respectfully invited back by the doyens of the Chao clan. The position of the clan leader was given to Chao Tian. Those people who once treated Chao Tian coldly were all fawning over him, wanting to mend their relationship. However, Chao Tian simply said that who cared about the position of the Chao clan's clan leader? He didn't want it. He continued roaming around with his friends, drinking and drinking. How wonderful was this? His drinking buddies were still 10 Miles Springwind and the others, as well as the sword monarch Jian Junlai. Occasionally, when he was in the mood, he would head to the heaven vault to comprehend the heavenly Taos. How wonderful was his life! The Chao clan had asked Chao Tian for help countless times, wanting to establish a connection with the God King Palace, allowing some of their elders to enter the heaven vault to cultivate. Chao Tian couldn't be bothered with them. Although he knew that if he sent a message to Qin Wentian, it would only take a single sentence. But what did the cultivation of those old fellows have to do with him? Naturally, the place that changed the most was the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms. The seal on ancient Azure Mystic was undone, it was like the birth of the heavens and earth. Boundless territories appeared and ancient ruins were excavated everywhere. Let alone people from Azure Mystic, even people from the supreme ancient immortal realms came here to explore. Azure Mystic was extremely attractive to the supreme ancient immortal realms. Other than the ancient ruins, there was another important reason. This place was the place where Qin Wentian grew up. Qin Wentian was known as the Heaven Empyrean by the people of Azure Mystic. Right now, the people of Azure Mystic also knew that their Heaven Empyrean Qin Wentian was already a king in the 33 immortal realms. Many people from the supreme ancient immortal realms came to Azure Mystic to investigate the legendary growth of the supreme ancient God King. To their shock, they discovered that Qin Wenqian's legend didn't start from Azure Mystic. Instead, he started from a tiny particle world in the Azure Mystic immortal realms. From a particle world, he climbed all the way to the peak of the world. What sort of legendary path was this? Azure Mystic Qin Emperor Yu Immortal Emperor Cultivators from the Legends. Heaven and Earth Heaven, Emperor Saint Ancient Dragon King Qin Yu Emperor, and Qin, and many people. The Ancient God Ancient World Qin, Saint. Time flew by, and it had been almost 16 years since the battle of the gods in the starry sky. Many years ago, after Qin Wenqian brought his friends and family away, there was a period of silence in the particle world. After so many years, the particle world gradually grew more and more prosperous. Because, this place was the homeland of the supreme ancient godly monarch, Qin Wenqian. During these 10+ years, many sects from the Azure Mystic immortal realms established their sects here, recruiting disciples with outstanding talent. With the example of Qin Wenqian, who would dare to look down on people from this particle world? A hero never asks where he came from. In addition, no one would dare to do evil in this particle world. This was the homeland of the ancient godly monarch. Who knew if the ancient godly monarch's divine sense had swept through here? If he discovered that someone was committing evil, the consequences could very well be imagined. Nobody knew that Qin Wenqian was currently in this particle world. At this moment, he was sitting on a chair in front of a small house, quietly enjoying the sunlight. It had been close to 16 years. Qingqing had gradually grown up. In just a few more years, she would be able to return. Strange uncle. At this moment, a beautiful figure riding on a crane flew over from afar, stopping before Qin Wenqian. When he saw the figure clad in white riding on the crane, Qin Wenqian felt as though he was in a dream. Once, when he and Mo Qingqing first met, she was already at this age. Her appearance was the same, her beauty was enough to topple empires and cities. She was as beautiful as a celestial maiden. Also, she was riding on a crane. A cycle of reincarnation, a dream. They were both in this particle world, in the other Mo residence, riding on the crane. Everything felt like a dream. The Qingqing now was already the same as the Qingqing he met in his previous life. You broke through. Qin Wenqian smiled. She wasn't even 16 yet and was already at the celestial phenomenon realm. If this was in the particle world of the past, it would be sufficient to shock everyone. During these years, my teacher has been silently guiding me. Not long ago, my teacher gave me an immortal crane to ride on. Mo Qingqing smiled as she floated down from the crane. She came to the side of Qin Wenqian and spoke, "Strange uncle, there's something I want to ask you." Qin Wenqian smiled and nodded. During these years, he had watched Qingqing grow up. Qingqing had already treated him as her kin. Back then, Mo Qingqing's second uncle had warned him once, and after that, he rarely went out of the Mo residence. However, Qingqing would often come here to look for him. There's an immortal sect that came to the Mo residence, wanting to recruit me. They want me to cultivate there, but I don't know if I should go or not. Mo Qingqing spoke in a light voice. Do you want to go? Qin Wenqian asked. No. Mo Qingqing shook her head. After that, she smiled, if I go to the immortal sect, I won't be able to see strange uncle anymore. If I don't want to, I won't go. Qin Wenqian's gaze was gentle. Although he could easily follow Mo Qingqing no matter where she went, he still hoped that Mo Qingqing would follow her heart and grow up happily. But father, mother and the elders all want me to go. They have high hopes for me and I can't bear to let them down. Mo Qingqing seemed to be in a difficult position. Follow your heart. No matter what decision you make, I will support you. The smile on Qin Wenqian's face was as gentle as ever. Mo Qingqing's eyes flashed with a bright light as she stared at Qin Wentian. Thank you, strange uncle. During these years, only you understand me the best. There's still a question I've always wanted to ask you. What question? Mo Qingqing moved forward, her beautiful face almost touching Qin Wentian's. Her eyelashes were very beautiful, and her beautiful eyes scrutinized Qin Wentian. After which, she giggled, ever since I was young, my father and mother's cultivation bases have gotten higher, but they still aged a little. But why is it that strange uncle is still as handsome as before, never aging? After speaking, a strange smile appeared on her face, as though she had found out a little secret. Maybe I have a technique that allows me to maintain my youthful looks, I'm naturally not aging. Qin Wentian smiled. Seems like this last knew that he wasn't an ordinary person. Is that so? In that case, let's see if strange uncle will still not age after a few more years. Mo Qingqing smiled as she turned and floated back to the back of her immortal crane. It's been 16 years. Qin Wentian stared at the departing Mo Qingqing as he sighed. These 16 years felt as long as tens of millions of years, but he still patiently waited, accompanying her. Every day when he saw Qingqing, he would feel at ease in his heart. This was what he owed her. It was rumored that in the future, she would naturally follow an immortal from the azure mystic immortal realms to cultivate. The Mo residence was incomparably glorious. However, it was unknown what methods Mo Qingqing used, she actually chose to stay in this small city. The immortal sect established a branch in this small city. Maybe because they discovered Mo Qingqing's shocking talent, they were willing to allow her to do whatever she wanted. After Qin Wentian learned of this, he was also very happy. This way, he could satisfy Mo Qingqing's wishes. Mo Qingqing specially came here to tell him this piece of good news and was extremely excited. In truth, Qin Wentian already knew about this long ago. But when he saw her happy, he was happy as well. Another 2 years passed, Mo Qingqing turned 18. Today, was Mo Qingqing's 18th birthday. She didn't stay at home and went to the small house where Qin Wentian was staying. Little rascal leaped into her embrace. This feeling was just like back then in Chu, causing him to reminisce about this feeling. Happy birthday. Qin Wentian smiled as he looked at Mo Qingqing. He would naturally remember her birthday. However, Mo Qingqing didn't seem to be happy today. She stared at Qin Wentian as her brows relaxed. Strange uncle, can you accompany me for a drink? Qin Wentian knew that she had something on her mind. He nodded. Mo Qingqing really took out a few jugs of wine and secretly glanced at the room beside her. Fairy sister won't blame me. She won't. Qin Wentian smiled and shook his head. Fairy sister was naturally referring to Qin. That's good. Mo Qingqing set her heart at ease. Mo Qingqing continued to drink. Qin Wentian also accompanied her. Little rascal also climbed up and poured himself a cup, draining it in a single gulp. Mo Qingqing couldn't help but giggle when she saw this scene. The wine was very strong. Not long after, Mo Qingqing's face turned red. She was only 18 years old, but she already looked like a celestial maiden. Her rosy cheeks added a different kind of charm to them, causing Qin Wentian to sigh silently. Qingqing had finally grown up. There were still 2 more years. Today is my 18th birthday, and also the most unhappy day in my 18 years. Father and mother actually want me to marry someone I don't like. Although he is very outstanding and is a supreme genius from the immortal sect, why should I marry him just because he proposed? I don't like him at all. Mo Qingqing gradually became a little tipsy. She spat out the truth after drinking. Qin Wentian wasn't agitated when he heard this. He was very quiet. He already knew of the Mo residence's movements. How could they hide it from him? Although he was a little angry, he wasn't worried. In this world, who would be able to snatch his woman? But father and mother are doing this for my own good. The elders in my clan all say that if I marry him, I would have a better future ahead of me. Also, he is so outstanding and can give me a bright future. There's no one more suitable than him. But, I just don't like him. Mo Qingqing muttered to herself. She inclined her head and stared at Qin Wentian. Strange uncle, can you understand me? Qin Wentian nodded his head lightly. Mo Qingqing smiled happily when she saw him nodding his head. Strange uncle, you should be the person who understands me the most in this world. Qin Wentian seriously nodded his head. Indeed, in this world, there was no one who understood her better than him. Chapter 2045. Mo Qingqing drank a lot and spoke a lot. She trusted Qin Wentian so much. Maybe she herself didn't know that this was because of the fate of 2 lifetimes. In her previous life, this man before her was the person she loved the most. Even after they met again in the cycle of reincarnation, she still felt a sense of closeness to him. At this moment, Mo Qingqing inclined her head. Her face was flushed red as she stared at Qin Wentian and asked, Strange uncle, do you think I should marry him? If you don't want to, you naturally won't marry him. Qin Wentian replied. But my parents and the elders of my clan want me to marry him. In addition, they are doing this for my own good. The hope of my clan rests on me. Mo Qingqing spoke in a daze. You don't have to mistreat your heart because of your family. In this world, there's no one who can make you feel wronged. Qin Wentian seriously spoke. Mo Qingqing giggled foolishly when she saw how serious Qin Wentian was. She moved closer to Qin Wentian's handsome face. That beautiful face of hers was so close that it almost touched Qin Wentian's face. He could even clearly feel her breathing, as well as the faint fragrance of wine from her. But if I don't marry him, who should I marry? Are you going to marry me? Mo Qingqing giggled foolishly, as though she was talking nonsense after drinking. Staring at her pure and beautiful countenance, Qin Wentian was completely stunned. He couldn't calm down at all as he shouted in his heart, I'll marry you. However, he didn't say the words in his heart. There were still 2 more years. After 2 more years, Qingqing would regain her memories. This was the fate of reincarnation. She would bring her obsession into the cycle of reincarnation, he would continue to wait. Strange uncle, I'm just teasing you. Mo Qingqing smiled sweetly and returned to her original location. She drank another cup of wine and continued, however, strange uncle, you are truly the most handsome person I've ever seen. Also, you won't age at all. What geniuses from the immortal sex. You are still not as handsome as strange uncle. In the future, the person I'm going to marry will definitely be as handsome as strange uncle, doting on me as much as strange uncle. In addition, he will ride on a true dragon and a divine phoenix to descend from the heavens, spreading out a vast expanse of red for 10,000 miles. Qin Wentian silently sighed in his heart when he heard the nonsense of Mo Qingqing. Silly lass, this is the scene of me marrying you and Qin, in my previous life. I definitely will. Qin Wentian nodded his head seriously, engraving Qingqing's words in his heart. Really? Mo Qingqing stared at Qin Wentian. Strange uncle, you are trying to make me happy again. No, it's true. In the future, the person you are going to marry will spread out a vast expanse of red for millions of miles, spreading out a vast expanse of red all the way to the upper world. Divine beasts will descend from the heavens, causing the 9 heavens to tremble, and all the gods and devils will come to offer their congratulations. Qin Wentian seriously spoke. Qin Wentian's words caused Mo Qingqing to start. After that, she giggled and pointed at Qin Wentian. Strange uncle, you are trying to make me happy again. How can there be such an awesome person? Qingqing. At this moment, a voice drifted over from outside, interrupting Mo Qingqing's words. Someone called out, Qingqing, your parents and elders are all waiting for you to celebrate your birthday. Why did you come out?" As he spoke, a middle-aged man pushed open the door and entered. There were many people following behind him. Qin Wentian wasn't surprised. He naturally knew that this middle-aged man would come. "Strange uncle, I'm going back now. The words you said might appear in my dreams." Mo Qingqing smiled foolishly at Qin Wentian. After that, she patted Little Rascal and spoke with some reluctance, "Little Rascal, I'm leaving first." After speaking, she turned and walked out of the little house. After Mo Qingqing left, her second uncle didn't leave. His gaze landed on Qin Wentian, his eyes as cold as knives. "I don't know what your purpose is during these years, and I don't care who you are. But now, Qingqing has already grown up and is a disciple of an immortal sect. She will marry a demon-level genius soon. You better not see her again in the future, lest you affect her reputation." He coldly stared at the extremely good-looking young man in front of him. He was also very curious about Qin Wentian. Why didn't he age? Qin Wentian clearly didn't exude any aura of cultivation and seemed like an ordinary person. However, his demeanor was extraordinary. But no matter what, no matter who Qin Wentian was, he couldn't allow Qingqing to interact with him anymore. He was too handsome, there was no one around Qingqing who was more handsome than him. Also, Qingqing wouldn't age. Mo Qingqing was still young, she was still in her youth, the age where she would experience her first awakening of love. She mustn't be led astray. This was especially so now that Qingqing had joined an immortal sect, she might be able to head to the upper world soon and take an immortal as her master. She would also marry a genius of the immortal sect. Geniuses were the descendants of immortals. How could he allow Qin Wentian to influence all of this? Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the man in front of him. Right now, there was actually someone who dared to speak to him like this. How ridiculous. However, he was after all Qingqing's second uncle. Given Qin Wentian's current temperament, he wouldn't argue with him over a single sentence. He only calmly spoke, "You can leave." "Humph, you better remember my words in your heart." Mo Qingqing's second uncle threatened and left the little room. Qin Wentian was still very calm as he watched him leave. After that, a smile appeared on his face. Qingqing had already reached the age of marriage. After accompanying him for 18 years, she had finally grown up. After Mo Qingqing left the little room that Qin Wentian was staying in, she rode on her immortal crane and left. Her face was still flushed red, the wind buffeted her body in unknowingly, her eyes actually started to turn moist. "Strange uncle, I naturally don't want to marry him. Because, I already have someone I like." Mo Qingqing shouted in her heart. "I heard from the elders in my clan that from the day I was born, you have been guarding outside the Mo clan and watched me being born. After that, for many years, you were there every day, watching me grow up and playing with me. You are always so patient, you don't mind my naughtiness, you aren't angry when I ride on you. The time you accompany me is even longer compared to my parents. The gaze you use when you look at me is always so gentle. I don't know why, but when I look at you, I always feel a sense of familiarity. It's like we already knew each other in our past lives. When I look at your eyes, I feel a sense of security. It's like no matter what happens, you will always be by my side, silently watching over me, protecting me. Now, I've finally grown up. As for you, you haven't aged at all and are still as beautiful as ever. Do you know that the person I want to marry is none other than you? You said that in the future, the person who marries me would be able to pave millions of miles of red flags, connecting to the upper world. Countless divine beasts would descend, the 9 heavens would tremble, and even gods and devils would come to offer their congratulations. However, I don't want all of these. It's enough as long as the person who marries me is you. But how can I do this? Elder Sister Fairy is so beautiful and kind. You already have such a warm family, how can I destroy the relationship between you and elder sister fairy? I can't do this. As she thought about this, Mo Qingqing's tears fell like rain. Her face was already covered in tears, even her clothes were wet. The love of 2 lifetimes, who could understand it? Who knew Qingqing's heart? After arriving at the Mo residence, Mo Qingqing wiped her tears away and revealed a smile. She silently spoke in her heart, "Strange uncle, you told me before that I have to live every day happily. I have to be strong, I can't think of you like this anymore. I will definitely make myself happy. I know that when you see me happy, you will also be happy. In the future, even if I'm unhappy, I will hide it in my heart and let you see my happy side. Only then would you be happy." When she thought of this, Mo Qingqing had a smile on her face as she entered the Mo residence. The Mo residence was celebrating her birthday. She told the Mo residence that she temporarily didn't wish to marry anyone. She would make her decision only when she was 20 years old. When this news circulated out, the people from the Immortal sect wouldn't make things difficult for her. After all, given her talent, she would definitely become an immortal in the future. The people of the Mo residence really hoped that she would agree now and wouldn't force her. Not long after, news from the Immortal sect circulated to the Mo residence. 2 years later, immortals from the upper world would personally descend to the mortal world and come to the Mo residence. They would accept Mo Qingqing as their personal disciple on her 20th birthday. In addition, the descendant of that immortal, a genius from the Immortal sect, would also formally propose marriage on that day, preparing to marry Mo Qingqing. When this news circulated out, the entire Mo residence was filled with jubilation. An immortal from the upper world of Azure Mystic would personally descend to the mortal world and accept Mo Qingqing as his personal disciple. How glorious was this! The Mo clan of this small city would definitely soar up into the sky from now on. After the news circulated out, many major clans came to pay a visit to the Mo clan. These clans were many times stronger compared to the Mo clan, but they were all extremely respectful. This caused the vanity of the Mo clan to be greatly satisfied. To them, there was basically no suspense to the marriage proposal 2 years later. However, from then on, Mo Qingqing rarely left the clan. Most of the time, she was busy with cultivation. Only by having a strong cultivation base would she be able to control her own fate. This was applicable to any place in the 9 Heavens continent. In fact, she also rarely went to visit the strange uncle. Naturally, Qin Wentian continued to silently watch her, as well as everything around her. Time flowed by day after day, the deadline of 2 years was getting closer and closer. Qin Wentian's state of heart was actually unable to calm down. Naturally, this wasn't because of the marriage proposal. To him, this was merely a minor matter that wasn't even worth mentioning. The reason why his state of heart was unable to calm down was naturally because Qingqing was finally going to return soon. On her 20th birthday, she would regain the memories of her past life. Strange uncle. There were still 7 days until Mo Qingqing's birthday. Today, Mo Qingqing came to the little house again. She stared at the handsome young man sitting in front of the door as she giggled, "Strange uncle, you still haven't aged. You won't age either." Qin Wentian laughed. "Strange uncle, you are lying to me again." Mo Qingqing mischievously glared at Qin Wentian. After that, she continued, "Strange uncle, let me tell you something. 7 days later, an immortal from the upper world will descend to Azure Mystic, wanting to accept me as a disciple. Back then I told you that the immortal from the upper world wanted to propose marriage to me. I gradually discovered that he isn't that bad after all. His talent is top-notch, and he is handsome and suave." Qin Wentian didn't reply. He quietly stared at Mo Qingqing's eyes. Her gaze seemed to be evasive. "Strange uncle, can you promise me one thing?" Mo Qingqing asked. "Speak." Qin Wentian nodded. "On that day, you have to come and visit me, okay? Mo Qingqing was a little nervous as she stared at Qin Wentian. Okay, I will definitely come. Qin Wentian seriously nodded. Mo Qingqing happily left, but Qin Wentian knew that after she turned and left, she wasn't as happy as before. Silly lass. Qin Wentian spoke in a light voice. How could Mo Qingqing's thoughts be hidden from him? Finally, there were only 7 days left. Qin Wentian stood up and inclined his head. His gaze pierced through the 9 heavens as his divine sense enveloped this boundless space. At this moment, in the God King Palace, countless people could sense this divine sense. They all knew whose divine sense this belonged to. There are still 7 days left. Make the arrangements. A voice rang out in the God King Palace, causing the hearts of countless people to tremble. After that, many people had smiles on their faces. 20 years, they had waited for a total of 20 years. Was it finally time? Chapter 2046. The small city gradually became more and more lively. Many people from the particle world came here to stay. Many came to offer their congratulations. There were also some who wanted to take a look at the immortals from the upper world. Even in this era, immortals were still extremely rare in particle worlds. They were lofty characters, and one could very well imagine the attraction of immortals from the immortal sects and immortals from Azure Mystic. The Mo residence was naturally the center of the liveliness. There was an endless stream of people visiting the Mo residence, and it was even livelier than the market. However, as the person in question, Mo Qingqing, no one saw her during these few days. According to the Mo residence, Mo Qingqing was currently in closed-door seclusion. Other than the Mo clan being extremely lively, there were also many people who came to Qin Wentian's little house during these few days. His parents, Qin Yuanfeng and Luoshan Qianxue, were all here, quietly arriving. His foster father Qin Chuan, as well as the family members of Mo Qingqing's previous life, also came. After that, they quietly stayed in this small city and didn't disturb the Mo residence. There were only a few days left. They were all willing to quietly wait for Mo Qingqing to awaken her memories. As for the so-called immortal accepting a disciple and proposing marriage, to them, it was nothing more than a trivial matter that wasn't worth taking to heart at all. The day of Mo Qingqing's 20th birthday finally arrived. Inside the small city, steeds were galloping on the ground, and flying demonic beasts were galloping in the sky. They were chatting cheerfully and wittily as they rushed towards the same direction. That was outside the Mo residence. Right now, a tall platform had already been constructed there. In a radius of several hundred miles, there were many people who came here to congratulate and to spectate. Today, the immortals from the upper world would descend. Everyone in the Mo residence stood on the platform to welcome the guests. They stared at the countless figures in the surroundings as smiles bloomed on their faces. There were people congratulating them unceasingly, and they clasped their hands in all directions in high spirits. At this moment, a group of figures floated down. Among these people, the males were handsome and carefree while the females were beautiful and dignified. All of them exuded an extraordinary aura and were all disciples of the immortal sect in this particle world. They came to the platform and stared at the air, as though they were preparing to welcome someone. Celestial light descended from the sky. After that, everyone saw the celestial bird flying over. The aura of the celestial bird was astonishing. Even from afar, one could feel its might. He's here. The people of the Mo residence were all agitated. The immortal sect disciples all knelt on one knee and bowed as they shouted, "Welcome, exalted immortal. We respectfully welcome immortal." The people of the Mo residence bowed as well. "Welcome, exalted immortal." All the onlookers within hundreds of miles bowed in unison to show their respect. This was an exalted immortal from the upper worlds. Rumor had it that the exalted immortal who came this time was someone with an extremely high status in the immortal sect. Many immortals obeyed him, and his status was very high. The Mo residence was going to soar into the heavens. All of this was because the Mo clan had given birth to a good daughter. A golden demon immortal descended and landed on the ground. Only then did everyone truly feel how terrifying this demon beast was. That was a golden condor. Its sharp eyes swept across everyone as if it was looking at ants. It was a demon immortal. The golden eagle's body was huge, and there were many people on its back. All of them stood there respectfully, guarding an immortal palanquin. These people all had extraordinary temperaments, and each of them was a lofty character. At this moment, the curtains of the immortal palanquin opened as two figures slowly walked out, moving towards the head of the golden condor. The people behind them all followed closely behind. This was a pair of husband and wife. The man was clad in luxurious embroidered robes and had an immortal crown on his head. The woman was elegant and dignified, like a female empress. Her eyes flashed with disdain, staring down at everyone. In an instant, countless people in a radius of 100 miles held their breaths. In their eyes, there were only these two figures. These were immortals, lofty and lofty. If it wasn't for Mo Qingqing, it might be hard for them to meet such existences in their entire lives. Father, mother. A young man appeared. This young man was extraordinarily handsome and had a smile on his face. He had an extraordinary background and came to this particle world to temper himself. He met Mo Qingqing and wanted to take her as his wife. In fact, he even got his parents to personally come here from the upper world, giving the Mo residents enough face. Where is she? The young woman calmly asked, not showing too much respect to the Mo residents. Their arrival was already considered a favor to the Mo residents. Her immortal sense swept through this place. After all, this was still a particle world, so weak that it was pitifully small. It was rumored that this was the place where the Heaven Empyrean grew up. But ultimately, there was only a single Heaven Empyrean in this world. Quick, call Qingqing over. The people of the Mo clan were incomparably nervous. This was the first time they met such major characters, immortals from the upper world. A moment later, Mo Qingqing walked out. She was very calm when she saw the immortals from the upper world. Qingqing, quickly pay your respects to the immortals. Beside her, Mo Qingqing's second uncle urged. Not bad. At this moment, that young woman nodded her head lightly. Her gaze was filled with satisfaction when she looked at Mo Qingqing. Regardless of cultivation or looks, she was very satisfied. Mo Qingqing could be said to be worthy of her son. It's truly rare for the Mo residents to be able to produce such a descendant. The young man beside her also nodded in satisfaction. Seems like his son's judgment wasn't bad. Many thanks to the immortals. Mo Qingqing's second uncle respectfully spoke. At this moment, those immortals from the Azure Mystic Immortal realms didn't get off the Golden Condor. However, no one dared to doubt their pride. This was something they should have. However, Mo Qingqing felt somewhat unhappy in her heart. Her beautiful eyes stared at the crowd as though she was searching for something. However, she didn't see the person she was looking for. Strange uncle, you promised me that you would come. Qingqing still wants to see you and speak a few words with you. Mo Qingqing didn't manage to find the person she was looking for. She felt a little sad in her heart. The young man's silhouette flashed and appeared not far away from Mo Qingqing. He then spoke, Qingqing, 2 years ago, you didn't agree to my request. Today, I asked my parents to come over from the Azure Mystic Immortal realms. You should be able to see my sincerity, right? Mo Qingqing retracted her thoughts. Her beautiful eyes were as calm as ever as she stared at the young man. Mo Qingqing. At this moment, the beautiful middle-aged woman on the Golden Condor spoke. I heard that you joined the Immortal sect 2 years ago and your talent is outstanding. Now that I've personally seen you, I'm extremely satisfied. In the future, you should work even harder to become an immortal and establish your immortal foundation as soon as possible. Also, my son is very fond of you and has mentioned this to me many times. This time around, us husband and wife came here to propose a marriage. In the future, when you marry into my clan, you have to serve your husband well and improve together with him, becoming an immortal couple. Her words were so natural and certain, as though she didn't even consider if Mo Qingqing would agree or not. From her point of view, this was a favor, an honor for Mo Qingqing. Mo Qingqing's gaze flickered, she was still searching the crowd. This caused the beautiful middle-aged woman on the golden condor to frown. The man beside her spoke, Mo Qingqing, are you willing? Qingqing. Mo Qingqing's second uncle spoke from behind. Mo Qingqing's eyes flashed with disappointment. She turned her gaze back and stared at the two silhouettes on the golden condor. However, her heart was still thinking about that good-looking young man. Would he really not come? The Mo residence is going to strike it rich. Countless gazes landed on Mo Qingqing, waiting for her to reply with the word yes. There was no need to doubt this. An immortal personally came down to the mortal world to propose a marriage. How glorious was this! Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes were slightly moist. Everyone thought that she was moved when they saw this. Who knew what she was feeling right now? At this moment, a beam of light appeared in the sky. This beam of light was extremely bright, causing many people to incline their heads and stare at it. After that, a strange look appeared on their faces. Mo Qingqing also inclined her head. That beam of light was extremely bright. Red clouds appeared in the sky and continued to extend outwards. Very swiftly, the red clouds filled the sky and actually interweaved into strange shapes, transforming into the shapes of numerous saint beasts. In addition, they were all saint beasts. There were dragons, phoenixes, Xuanwu tortoises, kirans. How beautiful! Many people sighed in admiration. Such a phenomenon in the sky, could it be that an immortal has descended? Beams of red light shot down from the sky, resembling a pathway leading to the heavens. It was simply incomparable, the people of the world had never seen such a miraculous scene before. At this moment, countless people in the particle world inclined their heads and stared at the sky. When Mo Qingqing saw this, her eyes grew even more moist. A phenomenon in the sky, the red clouds transformed into saint beasts. However, the person in the sky wasn't you. In that case, what was the meaning of all this? A phenomenon in the sky, an auspicious omen. Someone from the Mo residence spoke. Everyone in the Mo residence was incomparably happy. Today, an immortal descended to the Mo residence to propose a marriage. To think that there would actually be a phenomenon in the sky. It's indeed an auspicious omen. The two immortals also had smiles on their faces. Such a phenomenon was truly rare. It was unknown when, but a snow-white puppy ran out, sprinting towards Mo Qingqing. Mo Qingqing seemed to have sensed something. She stretched her hand out and caught it. Little Rascal leaped into her embrace as her beautiful eyes brightened. She rubbed Little Rascal's head. Little Rascal, why are you here? Where's the weird uncle? Yeah. Little Rascal pointed to a direction only to see a figure quietly walking over from the crowd. This figure was clad in robes as white as snow and was extremely good-looking. His countenance was handsome and he exuded an extraordinary aura. A smile could be seen on his face, and this smile was filled with warmth. His black eyes seemed to contain boundless emotions. 20 years, a total of 20 years. It felt as long as a few centuries. This day had finally arrived. 20 years ago, he stood outside the Mo clan, waiting for Mo Qingqing to be born. The fate of Samsara had finally arrived. Weird uncle, you are here. Mo Qingqing smiled happily. She was truly happy. Her smile was so radiant that it caused the people of the Mo residence to frown. It also caused the young man not far away from her to frown. Similarly, the eyes of the immortal on the golden condor flashed with coldness. This what's going on?" The beautiful middle-aged woman icily spoke. Her voice was extremely cold. Such a good-looking young man appeared, and Mo Qingqing had such a radiant smile on her face. She couldn't help but to connect the dots. However, among the crowd, there were also some old people who had lived for many years. Their cultivation bases weren't low, at the celestial phenomenon realm. Hence, they had lived for many years. When they saw the white-robed figure, their bodies involuntarily trembled as their hearts pounded madly. Heavens, how can this be possible? This is him, this is him. They would never forget this figure, they would never forget that he had returned. Mo Qingqing, no wonder this name sounded so familiar. They screamed in their hearts. At this moment, they finally recalled it. "I'm here." Qin Wentian gently stared at Mo Qingqing. "Strange uncle, I have something I want to tell you." Mo Qingqing spoke. "Even if you don't say it, I already know." Qin Wentian replied. Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes blinked. So it turned out that strange uncle already knew. When she thought of this, she blushed. In that case, he came today. When she thought of this, Mo Qingqing's heart pounded. Strange uncle, in that case, should I marry him or not? If you don't want to, there's naturally no need to marry him. Qin Wentian's reply was the same as 2 years ago. But if I don't marry him, who should I marry? Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian. "I'll marry you." Qin Wentian's smile was incomparably radiant. When Mo Qingqing heard this, her face blossomed with the most beautiful smile in the past 20 years. "I'll marry you." In these 20 years, there had never been a sentence so moving. At this moment, she tossed aside all her worries and worries. For the sake of this sentence, she was willing to pay any price. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.